minus 27.
Oh no! We are like dying stars, raging through the shadows.
9,
We've come
8,
too
7,
far
6,
to flee
5,
the
4,
battle.
3,
So
2,
give your heart, ravishing and fragile, like dying stars.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to Liberty Libations number 18. We have Stephen, Alden, and Nick joining us today. I believe Nick might actually be here for the entirety of this episode. Is that correct?
I am. I don't have nerd stuff going on tonight.
Holy cow. Well, you do have
All
nerd
right.
stuff. You're on this freaking
It's every
stream.
other week. So next week I'll have nerd stuff.
Nick, let's be real. This whole stream is nerd stuff, okay? It's just like
Yeah.
the whole thing is pretty much that. All right. Well, the title of this episode is Trump Indicted. So why don't we just start out with that? Since we're already...
That's a good place to start.
And this is real news this time. This isn't like an AI generated. He got arrested on the sidewalk.
I don't know. You know, it could be
Those
that,
pictures were pretty funny.
but yeah, those were pretty funny. Let's see. Trump indicted after Manhattan DA probe for hush money payments. Relate to payments made to Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election to keep her mouth shut. Yeah, Trump's indicted. What do y'all think of that? Did y'all actually think that was going to happen?
No, because last I heard, it was beyond the statute of limitations.
Mm.
The DA was trying to elevate it from a misdemeanor to a felony. When, from what I understand, it's pretty clear in New York state law that this is a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
You know, and you got a ton of precedent cases. You know, I'm pretty young, but I'm still old enough to remember Bill Clinton paying Paula Jones, what, 800 something grand? And that came out, and that was hunky dory.
Well, the way I see it is like you pay people, like through the campaign, you pay people to promote and say things about your campaign. What's the difference with paying people to not say things?
They pay a lot more to keep their mouth shut than to keep it open.
Was it even campaign money or was this incident? We don't have the
Is that the
indictment, so
problem?
we don't really know.
So I was listening to one of the local shows in Atlanta around here, and he was talking earlier this week that apparently his attorney, was it Paul Manafort or Michael Cohen?
No,
Cohen.
this Michael Cohen, the scummy
It was
guy.
Cohen. Okay, so the attorney acted on his own and went ahead and paid her some hush money because it was there was an expose coming out. You know, they caught wind that she was about to break the story, and so he went ahead and shut her up because he had access to one of Trump's accounts. And so then he said, "Hey, by the way, we paid some hush money to so and so. You guys need to reimburse me." And apparently, that he was reimbursed from a campaign account, but Trump didn't know about any of this.
Yeah.
You know, he found out like after the fact.
Yeah. I just don't really see the difference between paying like a PR person to promote your campaign as opposed to paying somebody to not say bad things. Like what the frick is the difference? Who cares? Like,
Right.
Somebody define that legally. Like what's the difference between the two? I don't really understand.
Don't we all know, too, that all of these candidates are horrible people behind the scenes anyway? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Alden, your audio did it again.
No!
Yeah,
Fine.
your audio is all over the place.
Man.
The payment was not illegal. It was the use of funds that was mislisted, apparently. So it was just them not reporting it as such, which is an incredibly minor thing. I mean, like these
The
campaign
difference is
finance,
real progressive did it first.
campaign finance violations happen all the damn time. Like they're generally not a big deal, and it's like, oh, your campaign pays a fine. Like
Well, and it's a similar
doesn't-
thing like with the stock trading, you know, the insider trading.
Yeah.
Like that's totally allowed, but supposedly, you know, it's a misdemeanor if you don't report your trades.
Right.
So they're always like 60 or 90 days. You know, they have, I forget what the window is, but they're always outside of it. You know, so say the window is like 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
All the big ones, all the big traders, they wait until like 70 or 80 days to release their trades.
Right.
And they just pay the fine.
What I want to know is like, I would guess that in the high 90% is how many campaigns have been run where they've paid people hush money. Like, Why?
Well, all of
we're
Congress
just
has a slush
told
fund they
that-
have access to, right? Doesn't like each member of
Mhm.
Congress have like $90,000 or something like that they can tap into if they have a illegitimate kid or some kind of hooker somewhere?
Interesting. I did not know they're trying to call it tax evasion. Huh.
Hmm.
That's a weird one. Hey, you got a crush, Nick?
Yeah, buddy. Good old buddy.
Yeah. It's just the
He says he's got an idea for of what he's going to show up. He's going to show up in costume at a convention.
buddy is.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell everyone what it is. They're going to have to come and find out. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That'll be fun.
buddies.
So I see what you're saying, though, that, it's if you can have a lobbyist and you
Yeah.
can have a campaign manager,
Yeah.
how is this different?
It just isn't. Like, you're spending the funds on whatever, and like the amount of people that get around campaign finance like laws is every single campaign, especially every single presidential campaign. Like, it's absurd. I was actually watching there's some like full-on theft and fraud going on. Let's see. Mr. O'Keefe is at it again. He's doing his own thing now.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to watch this whole thing. Actually, we're not. gonna
OMG
watch-
Media.
OMG Media. I freaking love it. But he basically, I watched a bunch of this before we hopped on here, but he found a whole bunch of people who their names were basically used upwards of like 1,000 times each to donate money to political campaigns over during the 2020 election. And he goes and finds these people and says, did you give this much money? Did you give this many times? And all of them are like, absolutely not. I don't know what this is. And so like there's some major campaign finance crap going on right here. And the fact that they're only focused on Trump, it's just, I can't believe Trump derangement syndrome is like still a thing. It's been
Well, I think they're
6
just
years.
playing on that because this is the typical smokescreen. So this is like the Saul Alinsky playbook: is you blame your opponent for what you're doing, and it takes the focus off of you.
Interesting.
We talked about
It's-
that in other aspects weeks
Yep.
ago, even, but this is just one more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What about
And
just
so-
the concept in general of, where we are able to accept our money from, even when it is legitimate, but it's like always through huge amounts through corporations and things, and just in general, and the problems with that. But I don't know.
Yeah. Let's
How's my
see.
sound, by the way?
Oh, your sounds great.
Okay. Yeah, it keeps doing that. I did the old IT advice, turn it off and back on again. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, there you go. Give it the drop test.
So Robert says,
Oh,
reimbursing
taxed
from
differently.
The campaign fund is differently taxed from person. So he owes what, like a couple grand extra or
In
whatever?
taxes, yeah.
Yeah, misdemeanor.
Yeah, because the campaign account isn't taxed, I don't believe. But
Yeah, that's right, because it's
other
all
personal
donations or
account is.
whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's not income or whatever.
Yeah, it's all campaign committees or nonprofit or whatever, and
Yeah.
yeah, campaign finance. Well,
If Rand tried to reveal that list, I would imagine it was before his neighbor almost beat him within an inch of his life.
What?
Is that a real thing?
That's just my Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't even know about
when
that.
was that?
This
I
was
know
like
about
2015, 2016.
That's right.
what was it?
Okay. I know it wasn't recent. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was within the last 5-6 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What,
that's-
Rand Paul?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was after Trump was elected.
there we go. His neighbor just stomped him down for
Getting off on a tangent, you see one of his staffers got knifed?
in
What?
the head.
In the head?
Who stabbed somebody in the head? What a
Yeah,
savage.
last weekend one of Rand Paul's staffers got knifed.
Damn.
Robert's on it too. Interesting. Do we know why, or was it just a random stabbing?
Random.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
allegedly random, but it wasn't too long after.
The guy
That
had just
Republican
gotten out
baseball
of
game
prison
got
the
shot
day
up.
before.
Guys. We're not a conspiracy theory podcast. Like, let's not go there. Come on.
The guy who stabbed his staffer got released from prison federal prison the day before.
Well, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah. Does he have an MS on one cheek and a 13 on the other?
MS-13. Oh man. Um,
So,
well, I don't really have that much to say about Trump getting indicted. I couldn't care less. It just seems like stupidity at its
no,
finest.
the precedent though. I mean, he as much as he governed like any other establishment politician, he didn't talk like them, and he upset the establishment enough here that apparently they're willing to dig and stretch in order to make an indictment. I guess unless there's something in the indictment that we're not aware of.
Yeah. I mean, I think the downside is obviously that this law will be used against the American public in some way, shape, or form in the future.
Well, it's going to be used
Like
for
this
anyone
precedent.
it's going to be anyone who pops their head up
Mm,
and starts trying to shake things up a little bit.
that's what I'm
right?
saying. Against the American
Anyone
public,
who,
per usual.
anyone who might be considered a threat. Who knows if they end up going after, Marjorie Taylor Greene next, or Lauren Boebert, or one of these other ones that seem to,
Yeah.
make a lot of noise and.
Mm.
It seems
the
like
media
it's
seems- that
just
the corporate
another-
press really seems to dislike. Who knows?
I just take comfort
comes-
knowing that Trump is still president from an undisclosed bunker, and I'm trusting the plan.
Dude, how
I-
like desperate for a purpose do you have to be to have like bought into QAnon? Oh,
I'm pretty heavy into conspiracy minded stuff, and I've that's I don't know, man, real fishy for me, the whole QAnon thing. So
Yeah, the first couple of times, like before I had even heard the word QAnon, anything like that, like they. Well, that is true. But like they did they talked about like the QAnon stuff. I think the first stuff I remember hearing is like, oh, they're going after all the pedophiles, and there's these massive operations going
Right.
on, and then
Well, so and
they're
that
like,
was
well,
true.
all right, let's.
So they were talking true stuff at first because you had like
there's got to
But
be
also,
some
like,
truth.
I wasn't but none of it was really coming out either. So it got to the point of like, okay, well, I believe what I see. You can only.
But it's trying
I'm
to.
like-
It gives a bad name to conspiracy in general, though, right? So there's
Well,
enough truth to get people on it, but then it's like and then you get a big movement with it, and then it makes you can. We talked about this before with other things, but like it can put it in a bad light, and then now you can just go, oh, see, all those conspiracy theorists, they're all those crazy people.
Well, conspiracy theory was a CIA term made up
Yeah.
about the JFK assassination, right?
Yep.
So
yeah.
which
At
turned out to be
least-
totally true.
At least, yeah,
Oh,
propagated.
at least
by
to
the
some
CIA,
extent, yeah.
All right, we
Yeah.
got to pause one more time. Alden, just take the headset off. Let's see what happens.
I'm gonna try the other ones, man. That's insane.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, brother.
How is this like? Do you hear the same?
I still hear it doing the same thing.
So it's not this then. So I don't need to worry about that. I guess
Yeah.
I just got to bounce out and bounce back in. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to just try something else next week, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just unplug the headset in general and don't even use it.
Unplug the headset.
Yeah. Just don't use the headset in general.
You mean like this, and then but
No
see, now I
mic.
can't
No,
hear you.
no mic. No headset. Nothing.
Just
All right.
run with the open speaker sound like this.
Man, it. Oh, Robert says turn off noise canceling if there is that on those headphones.
No,
Okay. Well,
no, they're open. Back.
go away and come back in because it's doing it
Yeah.
again. Let's see. Robert says, I used to be very skeptical of conspiracy theories, but today it seems the difference between conspiracy and news is about 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, that started happening around 2020.
Yeah. It
About
started
March
happening
2020,
heavily around 2020. Yeah. It's kind of bizarre. There have been so many articles written recently, and they've just like memes have been made about the article headlines that are like how to talk to your family member who believes in conspiracy theories, and then the meme is like, you were right, I was wrong, you know everything. Because it basically just turns out to be true, so we've got the second title or second topic that was in the title is warmongering. Actually, I think it's warmongers
Well,
mongering.
let's jump over to it real quick. I dropped one story that's somewhat related to the Trump thing,
Okay.
but not really. Trump gets indicted and this guy gets out.
Oh yeah. Let's actually go to this guy. Heck yeah!
I don't know much about it, but I just know this happened today. And it's interesting.
Boom! The shaman has been released from prison, y'all. He how long was he in solitary? Because he was in solitary for a while.
Yeah.
Does anybody
I
know
can't
the exact
remember.
number?
I don't know.
It was several months. I don't remember the exact number.
It was several months. Did any of y'all watch that interview with him while he was in prison?
No.
I did not.
He came off so sane and so normal, and for the most part, I mean, obviously he's a shaman, so he's not completely normal, but he like said the only regret that he had that day was that he thought cops like let him into the grounds and let him into the
Which
Senate
the video
chamber,
kind
and,
of the video kind of confirmed that.
yeah, he said he regrets that because he thought he was just being led by police to do that, and so it was super interesting to watch. That I don't know who interviewed him, but somebody interviewed him via video chat, and it was a very interesting interview. I'd highly recommend it.
So this is your weekly reminder. Your weekly reminder: don't trust cops. Don't talk to them.
Yeah, well, we've
Don't trust cops.
we've definitely got one video that really reiterates that point. Reiterates that point.
But yeah, I just wanted to share this interesting news because he got what 4 years, so he was 14 months early. That's a
14 months early. I think they mean 3 years late.
right.
Right.
Like,
Regardless, but
14 months early that's an absurd statement.
Has anything been done in terms of like even investigating the cops involved in that day?
No.
no.
That'll never happen.
No.
Yeah, it was the FBI. Yeah.
Well, they did an internal
No,
investigation, and they deemed themselves innocent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if I
Okay.
say Ray Epps, we're probably going to get a strike.
Ray Epps. Got it. Okay, 3 strikes. We're out. Okay.
The FBI probably higher up like conduct these things, but the Metro Police in these different areas are involved. Like they're just taking orders, kind of a thing. Like whether it's this or Vegas or whatever. Like,
well, some of that body cam footage of that day was super intriguing because the Capitol Police clearly showed up way late, and were seemingly told to show up late.
yeah.
And like that one cop was saying, like, we were set up, like we're going to take the fall for this, and we weren't here, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all so sketchy.
Yeah, it's all staged. It's all theater. It's all BS.
Well, and then so the one thing that stands out to me about J6 is General Mark Milley testifying before Congress about how he called his Chinese counterparts days before and said, by the way, there might be a little bit of an insurrection here, but just know that we're not coming at you. And it's
What?
like, what? Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, who said this?
General Mark Milley.
I gotta write this down.
Interesting.
He's on the Joint Chiefs. He called his Chinese counterparts and basically said, hey, we're kind of taking over. So, you're going to see some disturbing things in a few days on the news, but it's okay. We got it under control. We're not going to attack. Was, of course, I'm summarizing, but that was basic gist of it. Was he did admit that, he reached out to his Chinese counterparts and basically said, Trump's off the rails. We're taking the baton from him.
I need a
This is
producer to find
reminiscent of like.
So there was a coup on J6. It just, it wasn't the hooligans outside the Capitol.
It's staged. Or at least allowed. Facilitated. Reminiscent of 9/11 when Larry Silverstein calls his kids and is like, "Don't go into this building tomorrow." You're like, why?
Mhm.
Why? Like, yeah.
Larry Silverstein. Yeah, I need a new insurance policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most you got.
Yeah. For 2 independent policies per tower for terrorist attacks that's never been done before. Now we're just talking about this or whatever, but yeah, never been. Even the buildings alone weren't even privately owned until 6 months before. He was the first private owner of the buildings, and then the policy was another first. Never mind.
What was the meme I saw? I mean, I don't know if this is confirmable, but only 3 steel frame buildings have ever
They're all on that day.
collapsed, and they were all on
And
that
one
day.
wasn't in the report. They don't even mention Building 7 in the report. It's not one time in the. Never mind.
Yeah.
You can get me going too much on this one. I'm sorry.
I want to go down this rabbit hole. I'm getting another beer.
We just
Danielle,
Cheers.
we
Yeah.
Slancha. We're probably gonna go down that rabbit hole. I have a feeling that our spin the
Eventually we
wheel
need to.
thing that we're gonna do tonight is gonna land on 9/11.
It probably
Because
will.
That's probably what we. Yeah, if we're doing an in-depth thing, it's probably gonna have
I was
to be.
trying
a
not to get too in the
9/11.
weeds of it, but I was really trying to draw the comparison of like it smells fishy, things are orchestrated. Some people know ahead of time about events, and police arrive late, news arrives early, like news reports on events too soon before they even happen sometimes. It's whatever.
If we were being really interesting, we could do a 9/11 thing where each of us goes to a different location from that day and stream from there.
Oh,
Dude, we'd get shut down so quickly.
yeah.
It would be in an instant. Like you
Yeah.
better use like 6 VPNs.
That's like 12
If I could
felonies
get
now,
out-
right?
Dick Cheney has entered the chat, yo.
Yeah, there we go. Is he still living with his heart outside of his body? The
He had
Sith
a
Lord.
heart at one point.
Elizabeth, we are going to spin the wheel. We're going to spin the wheel of conspiracy theories and have a good old time here in a couple months diving into it. So,
When I'm out there, you mean?
yeah, as soon as you get here,
Yeah.
I'll fly back in town for it because I'll be in Montana at that point.
I was gonna say if you're gonna still be crossing paths with me, then you'll also be far away. But
Yeah, but I got that Frontier Airlines pass where you the day before whenever you want to fly, you can just book it for free.
what?
Yeah.
What
but
is this?
I want this.
So if a flight isn't full, then
Oh,
you have to
Filling
rely
seats.
on it being empty.
okay.
Yeah.
Does this work best with just the single rider kind of thing? Like,
I don't know. This is my first year trying it, so we're gonna see how it goes. I mean, I hate
Hmm.
Frontier, but it's not worse than Spirit.
I was gonna say,
I will
it can't be
never
worse.
fly again.
Oh my god,
I
I've
had
never
one
been
bad.
more afraid.
I had one bad Spirit Airlines encounter.
One?
Well, I've
That's all
only
it
flown
takes.
them once.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone-
batting 100.
Yeah, I was flying to Florida from Pittsburgh, and I checked in the app. I had the boarding pass on the app. Get through security, everything.
Yeah.
I'm with my parents. I go to get on the plane, and I scan the boarding pass, and it rejects it at the gate.
Perfect.
Great.
And
Good timing.
so the gate agent was looking, and I'm looking over the gate agent's shoulder at the computer screen, and I see my parents' names on the list there. I don't see mine. They told me, go ahead, get on. So I get on.
Nick
My
found a
seat-
loophole.
My seat had someone in it already. So they told me, take any empty seat.
Sit on his lap,
So I took an empty seat.
Wow.
And then they're like, oh, for the hassle, here's a free muffin and drink or whatever. So that was nice. But then,
Actually, went pretty well.
Free something.
Yeah.
but then on the flight back, I go to check in, and I couldn't check in. I called them, and they're like, oh yeah, well, you didn't get on the flight on the way down, so we canceled your reservation back. And I'm like, explain to me how I'm in Florida then.
Wow. And
You guys
so you
flew
had
me
a
down
great
here.
experience and then
and then a
terrible.
horrible, and then a compoundedly worse on
Yeah.
this ride back. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, well, all right, there's still open spots, so we'll just undo the cancellation. And
Yes,
Explain
obviously
how-
you will, idiots. Like,
Yeah.
Explain
And I'm
how
not
I got
surprised
to
the worst part of the
Florida.
story is in Florida.
right?
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
So
I lived
we,
there for
Gosh,
20
Spirit's the
years.
absolute
It's
worst.
So
Spirit's
then,
always-
yeah.
I was gonna fly Spirit last May because there's a direct flight from Atlanta to Atlantic City,
yeah.
and my buddy was having a bachelor party in Atlantic City, and I'm like, well, this is convenient. I can fly directly there and not have to fly to Philly and do the hour drive with everyone.
Yeah.
But then they canceled that flight, and they're like, oh, well, we can book you 4 days later, and I'm like, the trip's less than 4 days.
Yeah. No,
Well, we
that
can go
sounds
the
like
Tuesday
Spirit.
before. Yeah,
I literally will not will not fly with them ever again, just on principle. Even if it's the cheapest thing and the only flight, I've made too much of a stink
Even
to
with
actually
that,
get on that plane at this point.
If you look at it on paper, though, like even with that, the cost that it starts is like, and then it's like, if you want any leg room, it's another $100, and if you want to bring a backpack, it's another $100. You know, and it's it doesn't.
If you want a thimble full of water, it's $100.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
as
really
much as
doesn't
people
help.
complaining they haven't been doing great lately, I still fly Southwest whenever I can.
Yeah, Southwest is great. Mac flights were the worst. Maybe airplane come. That's correct.
I started flying Spirit. I mean, not Spirit, Southwest whenever I was living in Midland, Texas, because I hate flying those little regional jets. And United and American were flying the little regional jets out of there, and Southwest at least had the 737s.
Yeah, Southwest is great. We love Southwest here.
If I'm gonna go cheaper, I like the Allegiant. It's not bad.
Aren't they partnered with Frontier? Aren't they the same company?
I don't know actually, yeah, but I know they only do certain runs. But if you can get one of those, if it happens to be where you're going,
There's
they're not bad.
Allegiant and Frontier might be owned by the same company.
Yeah, I think
I can't
so.
remember.
Okay.
And then like Spirit was merging with someone.
JetBlue.
But didn't they get backed out or shut down by the feds on that?
I think something got shut down in that deal. So, but yeah, I wanted to pivot from J6 to which the fact that there's an abbreviation for January 6th is absurd. But we got to go to M30. We'll call it M30, where people breached the Tennessee Capitol. Did y'all see this?
No.
Yeah.
Some leftist protesters
protesting to take away gun rights. Became a threat to our democracy in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And threatened democracy and broke into the Capitol building and.
Yeah, I mean, they literally broke into the Capitol building and like no one's reporting on it.
They broke in.
Adam Nutter. It's a troop d'etat.
Now, I think they had something similar too. There's one of the guys down here on the south side. It's also in the party that I've talked to. That he lived in Tennessee when this was happening. I think he was there, but they tried to actually institute an income tax, like a state income tax.
Uh-oh.
And they marched on the Capitol. And they were like, not my state. Get out of here.
Let's see. Good. Sadly, if they carried more guns, people would listen to them. That's exactly right, Robert. That's great. Oh man, yeah, that's very interesting. Let's see. All right.
So what did they do when they got in the Capitol?
They didn't do anything. It was weird, man. I saw some interior.
They were like blocking the doors. Yeah, I saw one where like the state troopers grabbed some dude out of the crowd, dragged him into the building, and then like threw him back out of the building.
Yeah, I mean, all the footage of it is weird, and like, I don't know.
What do you think's going to happen? You just raise a flag and wait for the respawn and get the points.
Well, on to warmongering, since that's part of our title. Somebody shared this in our chat, and we're gonna play it because I thought it was hilarious.
Supply Ukraine with depleted uranium munitions for $1 million. Which of the following is true? Uranium. A. It poisons the land for decades to come. B. It causes cancer and kidney failure to those exposed. C. To use it indicates a terrible escalation. Or D. The depleted uranium from the UK is actually fair trade, organic, and those are no longer options. When is it okay to blow up a network of offshore natural gas pipelines?
Wait, what happened to the last question?
A. When a successful Russian economy threatens U.S. hegemony. B. If we promise to clean it up with a wet, dry shop vac. C. On National Spaghetti Day. Or D. It depends on the air quality index. Last week, the UK.
Anyway,
Nice.
thought that was pretty great. Yeah, reminded me of Daywalker Comedy's stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Actually, we should check out some of her stuff. I wonder if she's done anything recently that we would want to watch. Anyway, just thought that
So
was pretty
the
funny.
depleted uranium is one of those things that, like, apparently that's just now coming out that we're using the stuff, in 03 and beyond, and all over the Middle East.
Yeah.
And I don't know how genuine all the images are, but you can Google Fallujah babies and just kind of see what it does to the water table and, how it kind of wrecks the area. I mean, some of these cleft lip photos and things like that, like that's, it's a third world country. Like they don't really have hygiene and things like that like we do.
Right.
So some of that's happening anyways. But there are definitely areas. I mean, I can talk to some of my veteran friends that after they leave an area, it's more of a crap hole than it was when they arrived because of the stuff we're firing off. And the burn pits. Don't forget the burn pits too. I mean, that stuff is good grief.
Nasty.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, Joe Biden killed his good son with one of those.
Let's see. Nick, what was this thing that you shared in the chat? This Elian Gonzalez thing.
Oh yeah, that was just a story that came across my screen. But yeah,
Gotcha.
going back to what was it, 1999? The Elian Gonzalez story.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, I was young, but that was a story that I remember. He is now serving in the Congress, Parliament, whatever you call it, in Cuba.
Is that Cuban Liam Neeson? It looks like Liam
That
Neeson.
totally does.
Well, he's dead, so it doesn't matter at this point.
Back in my day,
I
this
never
is what an
thought-
alien invasion looked like. Yeah.
Name
Interesting.
that was in the news and caused a huge uproar, and another situation that Janet Reno fucked up.
Gotcha. Yeah,
And,
no, I remember almost nothing about that. So,
Yeah, well, it was Janet Reno was a terrible person, and we should never forget that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you want to talk about separating kids from parents and things like, oh well, we can't, we got to keep the kids with their chaperones. And then, this kid was straight up deported back to a place that wasn't home to him.
yeah. I saw Maj talking about, speaking of Maj Touré, I saw Maj talking to, I don't know when he did the interview with Candace Owens, but he did one and he was fantastic. And that guy starts talking about guns, man. It's great. He knows his stuff.
Anytime he gets talking, he's good. I saw he was at the he delivered that awesome speech at the bash in Reno, the Mises Caucus bash in Reno.
That was an interesting speech. Yeah, I don't know who all was there or who all saw it, but man, dude basically called out the Mises Caucus and said like we couldn't keep this going. Like he doubts that we could like continue the takeover.
He offered a challenge.
Yeah, he basically offered challenged us to get our crap together.
He was at the LPPA convention the other week, and he was giving us a talk on outreach to the inner cities and how to do that. So that was at least interesting.
Yeah,
he actually showed up unlike other people. Shane.
Well, you got to blame Delta for that one, man. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
Shane's fault.
Don't worry. He was not the only speaker that didn't show up.
Who else didn't show?
What was it? What's his name?
Let's call some people out.
I believe he was a Bitcoin guy, and he was he couldn't make it because he had to go testify to some state legislature about why Bitcoin's awesome or something.
Okay, well at least he has a good excuse.
And then
Talking to government.
Dave Smith didn't show up, and he did it by video also.
Interesting. Wasn't he like an hour away?
Yeah, something like that.
Goodness gracious.
I don't know. He said, the only explanation was that there was a family thing, emergency thing. I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we forgot to start our live stream with how we've been starting it. So we're going to just pop in right now for an ad for the Great Create.
I was wondering where that was.
Yeah, no, I completely
Actually, this might even
forgot.
be better because we've built a little bit of an audience at this point. So
No one's watching this. Are you kidding?
hey, we have Grumpy Known and Danielle Coyne and Robert.
Perfect.
I've got at least 3 bots on this right now.
That's
all you need.
perfect. That's all we need. Great Create is coming up quick. It's freaking me out because my van is not ready to be shown, so I got to really get going on that thing. But Great Create happening May 12th through the 14th. It's a DIY Freedom Festival. It's basically Libertarian Party of Georgia's convention. The first 2 days are a festival, and the last day is business. So it's made basically for anybody to come. It's not just for libertarians. What do you want to say about it, Nick? You're not here enough to talk about it, so why don't you say some stuff?
Yeah, so we rather than have a normal boring convention where the just party members get together and talk about boring stuff, it's an off year. Who wants to talk about bylaws and stuff? There's no, and the couple.
No one wants to do that in on years, Nick.
Right, but we don't even have candidates this year to be excited about, right? It's not an even election year. We don't have a national convention to elect delegates to. So really it's a very internal thing. So rather than focus on that and convincing people to come out to that, we decided we wanted to create something of some value here that goes, bridges that gap, because a whole lot of people in our, that see eye to eye with us oftentimes stay out of the politics because it's dirty, it's messy, it's hard to get going anywhere. There's a lot of internal battles you have to fight before you can even get to the external battles. Just all things that happen when you deal with people, and it's oftentimes easier not to.
Yeah.
But rather than that, we wanted to also showcase here that we are, that yes, the Libertarian Party of Georgia, we're here to do the political work, run candidates and get stuff changed politically, but also, this really, the freedom and liberty that we all want really starts with being able to provide a lot of that yourself and quit being so reliant and build community. So that's what this event is really about.
Nice.
Sharing skills, and connecting people, and hopefully seeing that value and seeing, hey, yeah, we do the political thing, but we also do some of this other stuff. Get out there and let's we've got great people speaking, people who know a lot about it, a whole bunch of different things.
This is a new one. Tia Severino. All right.
Don't know who she is, but all right, let's
see if she's got a bio. As a journalist, filmmaker, public speaker, and champion of freedom, she is the founder of the Next Steps conferences, which are focused on building the parallel society. Yes.
Was that the one was that the conference that was up on Lake Lanier a couple weeks ago?
I don't know. Should we find out? Let's see.
Zach would know.
Oh, Zach's not here.
Well, he's in the comments.
No, he's not. No one's watching. We already went over that.
And homesteading seems to be an increasingly hot topic as well. I mean, good grief, with eggs getting close to $1 a piece just recently. And, a lot of people are wanting to get more and more self-sufficient.
Is it really $1 a piece?
Well,
Zach says I'm right.
If you did the pasture raised,
That's crazy.
because there's really no nutritional difference between just the regular eggs and the cage-free. You're just paying for your conscience at that point. The only time you get the nutritional boost is if you go to pasture raised, which means, because cage-free can still mean they have a small pen.
Right. Yeah.
Like a 2x2 square to walk around in.
The definitions are crazy.
Yeah. Did you see the same thing that I did probably on this, where they talked to the guy that was trying to do his own thing with the chicken farming and all that? And,
yeah.
But the definition is like they have a doorway, and for a certain window of time during each day, the chickens can choose if they want to go outside for 5 minutes at a time or a couple of times a day. And most don't even choose to go out or whatever. So most never even go anyway.
Yeah.
So that stat that I was throwing out, I mean, everywhere I shop down here on the south side, Fayette County, Coweta County, they were 75, 80 cents a piece for the pasture raised just like 4 months ago.
Well, these are some folks that you're going to want to talk to at the Great Create then, because I know Kristen has goats and chickens and all sorts of stuff.
And everyone wants to know how to make cheese, right?
Everyone wants to know.
I love cheese.
Edgar, he's does firearms training. A bunch of us went and did his training with him. He's great at it. Former Green Beret. He knows what he's doing.
Heck yeah.
Great environment there. I think he has some competition he's doing that the Libertarian Party of Georgia is a sponsor on. So you know, he's a great partner with us.
Heck yeah! Hey, look at that! I'm up there now.
You better hurry and get your van done then.
I was working on it today, so it'll be done. It just might not be perfect, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, what are we doing with libations? We're gonna have to figure out what we're doing with the show there.
Well, sadly, Alden won't be able to hop on with us, but yeah, we'll have to have.
We might get. Well, we'll have Will and
Buddy
Buddy.
ready to go. Yeah, no, I think it'll be. I mean, if we can do this with just 4 of us talking about 10 articles or tweets that I've pulled up, we can do it live with a whole bunch more people. Like, yeah. Yeah, you get to see Shane Hazel do his podcast live. Last time I think he did a live one was during his campaign. And it went decently considering it was like a music venue and people were not prepared to
That was like
a podcast.
That was like super early in his campaign. I think before the nominations even happened. And I wasn't there for that.
Project Appleseed and the CMU, if anyone is wanting rifle training. Interesting. Does anybody know what that is?
CMU.
No.
I know CMU by.
Please expand, Robert.
I wouldn't mind some rifle training. You know, I had some sweet rifles, but I lost them in a boating accident not long ago.
You were telling us about that last week, and that's really rough. We should try to get you some more, and maybe
we should probably hook you up with a 3D printer so you can just.
Okay, CMP, not CMU, civilian.
Yeah, I was like, CMU is a different story. We could talk about CMUs too, but that's a whole different thing.
Anyway, we've got Bib City Ramblers playing some bluegrass country music. We got Adam Nutter doing some stand-up comedy along with Mr. Matt Carter, who's hanging out in the comment section right now like a creeper. We've got a couple movies right now. I think we got 2 more coming.
Is Ithaca one of them?
Ithaca, I think, is still a maybe.
You reached out?
We reached out, yeah.
Okay, because I was listening to the interview, and on their website, they had a form to fill out if you wanted to host.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's like, here's a form if you want to host the viewing, and I was like, oh, and I sent it to Zach the other day.
Oh, I did not go through that link.
There you go. I'll be speaking to Suzanne Shepard, the Freedom Homeschoolers, because the Republicans just totally dropped the ball on a school choice bill. We got nothing done this legislative session.
Shocker.
I was going to say, yeah, the session just closed and like nothing got passed, right?
Right.
I was unaware
they
of
passed nothing on it. Wow. Medical marijuana, blind eye. What?
I mean, did they pass anything at all?
No.
Like any substantive bills? Like
no, I mean, they got some, some quote unquote mental health stuff, which is, diet red flag laws in the works.
Great.
But,
Great. Exactly what Republicans should be doing.
Right.
Gosh, they're such losers. Let's see. Nick, you're doing some 3D printing stuff. What is going on there?
Potentially. We might have found someone else who might be even more knowledgeable than me, and if so, that person is interested in it and doing it. And
hey, did you see that bridge in Norway? I think it was Norway. They 3D printed a bridge.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it took them like 3 weeks. And they printed it like it's all one piece, and they just lowered it in place and welded it on.
Oh,
shut your mouth. No. No. You can't be serious. Norway 3D printed bridge. Okay, we're looking this up because I think you're a liar.
It's one piece? They didn't assemble it in parts?
Well, I mean, it's 3D printed.
Yeah, but something's got to
I've seen
articulate around
how
it.
big of a bridge?
What I saw was one big old chunk being lowered down, so I don't know how many pieces it was, but
like I saw like them doing a robotic print of like a small walking bridge before in place, but
world's first 3D printed bridge. Here we go. Okay, so Steve gets a stay of execution. World's first 3D printed bridge opens to cyclists in Netherlands.
That's much smaller than I pictured.
But it's still a bridge. I mean, that's got to be like 25 feet.
Yeah.
Dutch officials have toasted the opening of what is being called the world's first 3D printed concrete bridge. which is primarily meant to be used by cyclists. Interesting.
And I know there's companies in Texas playing with this stuff with houses.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
you
with a bridge. Scroll down. Did they pre-stress that? How did they?
It's a good question.
Yeah, they did pre-stress it.
The house thing is
Interesting.
interesting only for like developers. Like it's not worth doing one house 3D printed.
What if you
Because
just
the
did
amount of
building
machinery-
materials?
I mean, just the amount of machinery needed to get to the site, and like the amount of work that goes into designing it and putting it in there. and
That's what I
having-
mean.
Like, it just isn't worth it. And you still have to have like a ton of extra materials. Like I've watched these people 3D print these houses, and I would never live in one of them.
No, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's like
No.
the what is it? Houston, Texas, that specializes in the prefab houses.
I like prefab houses, but some
But
of them
it's
are
the
pretty
the
terrible.
metal stuff. It's the all metal frame, and they slap these things up in like 10 days.
Jeez.
So like it's all just houses on slab. It's the quote unquote affordable housing.
Yeah.
That, Houston was famous for until some hurricanes blow through.
Huh.
But yeah, Elizabeth, I'm also okay with them not passing anything. I just know they were beating their chests about they're going to get something done about school choice this time around.
Yeah, of course.
I agree. Let's see. Robert says he's seen continuous cement pours. Yeah, I've seen that too. Let's see. And we were all imagining something the scale of the Golden Gate. Yes.
I
We're
was
getting
picturing certainly bigger. Yeah, something a car
Yeah.
could go over was my thought, but
Steel frame housing. So yeah, the Great Create, y'all. Tell your friends, tell your family. It's going to be a freaking great time. I'm very excited for it. Alden, wish you could be here for it, man. That'd be so much
I know
fun.
I'll be there like a month and a half later or something.
Yeah,
Like it's
before
so
time.
close.
You are going to
But-
have to stop by Montana on your way down.
We're only just now starting to think about like our route or whatever. But yeah, I'll be talking to you about if you're truly surely going to be there. Then
Oh, I'm gonna
'cause
be
we're
there.
going in like July, but
Yeah, I'll be there.
long
all
you,
all through June.
okay, cool.
You're spending all June up in Montana.
June, July, August, September.
Jeez, you're going up there that long? What, to get some stuff built?
I'm going to build our first house up there
With his bare hands.
with my bare freaking hands. It's on my bucket list. So,
Yeah, same actually.
yeah. All right. Speaking of, well, this is a terrible segue, but we're going to go there anyway.
3D printed wives.
No, 15-minute cities. Have y'all watched this video?
No.
Do y'all know what's happening in
15-minute
Oxford? Should we
Yeah,
talk about what's happening in
15-minute
Oxford?
15-minute prisons. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know, 15-minute cities are what they're calling smart cities. And this is what people in power in certain places want to implement worldwide, everywhere in every
What's
city.
the 15-minute quality?
Everything that you need is within
It's
15
15
minutes.
minutes away.
And
It's a geographical oddity.
if you travel outside of that, you get a certain cap on how many times you can travel outside of that. You get
No.
fined if you
No.
go through certain barricades. There are
This is the Truman Show.
cameras, drones, all sorts of stuff surveilling you constantly.
Or
And
Australia.
I think they were also like, it was also part of it was like you couldn't cut through the city. Like they were building a beltway around and
Oh.
you had to go out to the beltway. And
This is that. So here's a little clip of what happens when you indoctrinate people in these 15-minute cities into believing that the 15-minute city needs to exist.
Oh my god.
So this lady's trying to get through that barricade to go to work. And these idiots are standing there blocking her.
Hello. Have you got any right to stop here?
Yeah, you'll see that this is a no through motor vehicle. This is motor
Yeah, do you go to work?
Yes, I'm on my way to work.
Yeah. At what time you're going?
Stop there and talk to my friends for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, you stay here just all your day, just wasting people time.
No, it's not. You're not allowed to drive through here.
So, have you got anything to show me that you can stop me?
See that sign?
Yeah, excuse me, I want to see you.
I really thought she was going to plow him over.
No, you don't understand. Yeah, don't worry. I want to see if you got something to show me that you can stop me. No,
So these are just
you. Can
regular
you stop me to
citizens.
go through there.
Stopping this lady from going about her everyday route.
Okay, I want to
because-
go.
Citizens are doing this?
Yes.
No,
It's
okay,
the
can
UK. They
you-
are
can you open,
subjects,
please?
not
Thank
citizens.
Fair
You.
enough.
If I get the fine.
And she says, "I'm fine with the fine.
okay,
Just
don't
let me
worry.
pass. Get out of the way."
They're not citizens.
Okay,
they're
can you
cast
move now?
members, yeah.
I'm late. I need to go to work. Excuse me.
And they're taking
Move.
down all her
I'm going to get the
information.
fine. You got my everything. Now you move now, okay? Excuse me. You're taking it. Excuse me. I said you to move now.
I mean,
Just
it's
go.
infuriating. Like I feel this
Listen.
woman's pain.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Listen, you move now. You took everything about me. Now you move. Yeah, call the police, call whatever
I mean,
you
it's
want.
just crazy. It's
Yeah.
what I find most disturbing is how quickly, because this has not been implemented very long, but how quickly these idiots got on board with implementing the rules upon their fellow citizens.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it's unbelievable.
Do you think there's a market for a snowplow type device that will attach to the front of your car and gently
The people
move
plow.
people out of the way?
It's padded.
The
It's
people
soft.
plow.
padded.
That's really good. That's
I love
really
it.
Just
good.
paint a rainbow on the front of it. Then it's loving.
What I'm actually picturing is something very low to the ground that just kind of knocks them off their feet into like a ball pit, like a children's ball pit.
We can make a
And
game
then-
show out of it.
Does it have a dumping feature that will dump it into the nearest?
No, you're just along for
dump
the
pit?
ride at that point. Like, you don't.
So one of the law enforcement agencies I follow on Facebook, if you want a good laugh, is the North Yorkshire Police. I don't know exactly where they are in the UK, but I saw Spike trolling them one day,
Yeah.
and so I started following them. And I mean, these folks are serious. Like they had an illegal person quota at a barbecue party. They had 15 people. They're only allowed to have 12, so we had to bust it up.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's
Oh.
stuff like that. It's constant. It's
Did they
awesome.
not have the right license?
Oi, you got a license for that, mate?
You got your permit license? Yeah. I mean, you have to have a license for your TV there.
Let's see. The road projects called diets that are reducing lanes are a part of this. Yeah. For those who don't know, Elizabeth made a phenomenal presentation for this stuff.
It's
So
upsetting.
Go to our YouTube
I believe
channel.
it's on
check
this
it out.
YouTube channel that you could be watching it on.
This
right
YouTube,
now.
Rumble, and Odyssey. It's on all three, I believe.
Speaking of, we're on Rumble live tonight, I think, right?
Oh yeah, everybody! This is our first time ever live streaming on Rumble. We finally got enough followers to do it. So
All five.
if you're more of a fan of Rumble and you don't want to support YouTube, head on over to Rumble. And I can't see your comments, sadly. Oh my gosh, that is the loudest typewriter of
is-
all time.
Is that Steven?
I thought I muted my mic. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I mean,
My bad.
gosh.
Is your mic under the keyboard? That's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
back
it's
to the
right
18th
above it, and it's a
century.
mechanical keyboard because I'm
Yeah,
cool like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No.
The only issue with
Wow.
Odyssey and Rumble is I can't see the comments. I don't really know how
Oh.
to set it up to where I can.
Comments
We'll
don't
learn
come
it as we go.
to Rumble.
What's that?
Comment. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll
Yeah.
research and see if it's possible.
Rumble and Odyssey both have they're not included in the StreamYard stuff, so they can't send all that stuff here.
Yeah, at some point, they'll have to be. Rumble's a big enough platform.
Yeah, I think so. But they still don't allow comments for like Twitter on here, which is funny. But I guess Twitter's a
Oh,
different
really?
kind of yeah, Twitter's a different kind of platform, I guess.
Interesting.
Okay, here's that daily reminder of why you shouldn't trust the cops, Nick. Let's check this sucker out. So this guy, Kevin Penn, called the police because of a shoplifter in his liquor store. And the guy you see right here is Kevin Penn. It's his liquor store. And someone was shoplifting. He called the cops.
Mm-hmm.
So they approach him like he's the shoplifter, and
Oh my god.
just full on
Good
prank him.
grief.
Like in his own store.
Wow. That is upsetting, man.
They just walked up and just sucker punched him in the face.
Yeah, he didn't lay a finger on them.
Now, is this the same, what is it, Cook County where Afro Man was?
That was Adams County, I think.
Adams,
And
okay.
Okay, but I mean,
first
come
comment,
on.
Buck Johnson, based.
Golly.
I watched a video the other day where two cops pulled a guy over and he apparently didn't see the cop behind him at first. And he was just driving like normal, but he wasn't like trying to speed away or anything. But it took him longer than normal to see him and to pull over. So they were not happy about it or whatever.
Right.
So they start, they draw a gun on him and start telling him to get out of the car. And he's like, whoa, whoa. Because like this is the first he's seen him, And I don't know. I believe him for what it's worth or whatever. And they put him in handcuffs and everything. And then he's trying to talk to him about the situation. And, they don't believe him. And they basically, because he's, to them, giving him sass or whatever, they lift while he's handcuffed behind his back. Two officers on both sides lift both of his arms up and break both of his arms, like, while he's handcuffed. You know what I mean? Just things like that are just entirely unnecessary.
He should have stopped resisting.
Oh, yeah, right. By trying to explain your situation or whatever. Yeah, okay.
No, it's his fault.
Exactly.
It's his fault for sure, Alden. Come on. You
Yeah.
gotta back the blue, man.
Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Yeah. This is why. So I've had the oldest car for the longest time. Me and my girlfriend have both had like, an 04 and an 07 like Hondas for like the longest time.
They
And
last forever.
we haven't needed a new one. Yeah. But we're about to move across the country and I'm like, I would like something newer. So we're getting a newer car and I haven't had to worry about it before because when you have a car that's worth $3,000, you just don't care as much. But I'm going to end up getting a dash cam, I think, because I am like worried about like insurance fraud from like other people or like cops telling you. I've seen too many videos of cops being like, you roll through a stop and then people be like, what are you talking about? I got a dash cam. Like,
Do you
and
want
then they're
mine?
like, never
I
mind.
have an extra one. I'll send you.
You
mine.
have one?
Yeah.
That's a spare. Yeah.
I think it makes more and more sense to have a camera in your car at all,
I think
with
so,
cameras
too.
going both directions at all times.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys how you feel about that because I don't like the like surveillance state kind of thing when it's put on me, but for protecting your own stuff, I think it's actually wise as a combative effort.
Yeah,
Well, especially it's your camera, and like if you're running it to a memory card, then
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Robert, my grandmother led the Rock March GA police on a 30-minute low speed.
Low speed chase. Perfect.
That
Yeah.
is great.
Did they handcuff her and break both her arms? Like,
Goodness gracious.
God.
Yeah, Danielle says always keep camera rolling. Yeah, I just installed a camera on the back of the van and a dash cam that are all part of the same system, so they all record on the same memory card.
Are they hardwired or how are they powered?
Hardwired.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do too.
Yeah, I don't like anything with like a Wi-Fi signal or whatever. I don't trust that stuff.
I think I think it connects to my phone via Wi-Fi, but it's the camera itself would be powered.
Well, what I did was they make rear view mirrors that double as video screens.
That's smart.
So that's what I did. So you can look at you can turn it off and just have it be a rear view mirror, or you can have it split screen, be the dash cam and the rear camera, or you can just have one of the cameras. It's
Well, like
cool.
in your van, you really won't be able to see out your rear view, right?
right. Yeah. We don't even have a window in the back yet.
I didn't know if you did or didn't, but I figured once you put stuff in,
Yeah. We'll have,
not gonna
we'll
be
have
able
one.
to.
Well, and here in Georgia too, insurance fraud from individuals, yes, that's still a thing, but you got to look at fraud from the insurance companies themselves, because we have our insurance commissioner on his website just condemned one of the big insurance companies here in the state last year because so they have to go through his permission basically to raise rates, and it was Allstate. I'll go ahead and say it. They went ahead and raised their rates beforehand, exploited a loophole in state law, and then he granted them an increase. So he gave them a 25% increase, but they wound up getting a 40 because they jacked theirs up beforehand because there was some unknown loophole or whatever. Yeah, but he put a blog on his website. It's the insurance commissioner's website. It's like Allstate did something really crooked. They're evil people.
Goodness
So,
gracious.
Why is an insurance commissioner telling them how much they can charge?
that's how that works. I
didn't
don't
know
agree
that.
with that either, but that's that's the system that's in place right now.
Because they're doing it for our safety, Nick.
There you go.
Like,
Yeah.
I guess.
duh.
Another just on the dash cam thing, like one of the reasons, and this ties into the insurance thing, is you're right though that is another avenue to be mindful of. The cops can even be like, okay, no, the other person was 100% at fault. They get the ticket, right? But the damage to your vehicle, if say they completely just turn right from the left lane or some whatever, where the cops are like, no, 100% their fault. Your insurance can still go 30% your fault. That's ridiculous, but it happens all the time. And if you don't have footage to kind of make a case, it makes it a lot harder. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the one accident in Georgia on the way to, what was it, the crypto presentation, I think,
Oh, really?
where I got rear-ended at a stop sign right along the south side of the Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
clearly your fault.
And
It
there-
stops at stop signs. Like,
Yeah, and there was no place for me to pull off there, so I talked to the guy real quick and was like, "All right, let's move down there." And then he took a different turn and disappeared on me. I immediately called my insurance and like, "Hey, what do you need from me on this?" And they were like, "Oh, well, all right, well, we'll just get it started." I'm like, "Do you need a police report that I have to file?" "Oh, no, we don't need that." And then they called me at one point and they're like, "No, because you don't have a police report, it's not a you can't claim your uninsured motorist thing, so you have to pay the $500 deductible instead of the $250." And I went livid on these people.
we were talking to an intern. Like,
The lady I was talking to, I went after her and I was like, "This is complete bullshit." Like, I called you guys. I called and I asked, "Well, they don't know specific." "Well, why am I talking to someone who can't direct me on what I have to do to follow the policies correctly?"
yeah,
Right.
Like, I call your
you're
people.
trying to work within you.
They
ask.
should.
Yeah.
I'm like, I call your people here, and they should be able to pull up and tell me exactly what I have to do. So
Yeah.
to get those $250, I had to drive back down like a month and a half later to the College Park Police Department, file a police report where
like
I'm like,
retroactively.
I'm like,
do
it happened this day. I've got no license plate. I don't really remember what it was. I know it was a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Here's
Well,
this.
in that
the
vein-
car had already been repaired at this point, I think. But yeah, it was like I drove down there, gave the statement, and then they're like 10 days, you can pick it up. And then the insurance company's calling me and they're like, "Well, did you do it?" "Yeah." I'm like, 9 days ago. They told me after 10 days it's available. "Well, we might not be able to." I'm like, you're going to honor this. And they're like, "Well, we'll try and see." And then they're like, they were able to contact the College Park Police and pull the police report without me, so I didn't have to go drive down there a second time and get it. And I got my money, but yeah.
Well, and
now I
in the
know,
same
just-
vein, as like Danielle was saying, always keep a camera rolling. Like, they have apps where you can record every single phone call that you have, both sides.
That's interesting.
And that is pretty decent way to cover your ass sometimes, especially in situations like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then something else has been going on,
As long as you're
particularly
on
in
a
Metro
one
Atlanta.
party consent state.
I don't know if it's all
Georgia is.
over the state, but the plate reader things that are going in the school zones, writing people tickets and stuff.
Yep.
Mm.
It's a big problem. Down here on the south side in Spalding County, I know there's a class action coming because people are getting different tickets. Like, it's supposed to be like $100 for your first ticket, $125 for the second, and then $200 for the third and beyond. And people are getting different levels of tickets on their first and second offense. They're getting tickets outside of school times. On holidays, things like that. It's writing them tickets. And,
That's what I was going to say.
And there's no appeal process. They just straight up lean your vehicle if you don't pay this thing.
Oh,
You
man.
get something in the mail and all that. It's got the sheriff stamp up at the top of it, but then it just has a link at the bottom of like, go to this website to pay this. And there's no appeal. There's no customer service. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to sue the county to get out of it.
You're not a customer. That's why.
Right.
Like, they don't
No,
have
you're
service
tax
for
cattle to them.
non-customers. Interesting. Contacted Cobb County with proof a guy had been driving for 13 years without insurance and false registration. They said they would not do anything. The Those tickets are municipal fines by a private company.
Yeah, well, they're not even. It's a civil action, so it's not like a traffic citation to be, points on your license that would make your insurance more expensive or anything like that.
No,
There's
just
a local
tax
attorney
penalty.
down here I was talking to. It's a civil action, and it's backed by the sheriff, or if it's in the city, it's backed by the police chief.
Isn't there some like new either Chat GPT or some AI lawyer you can
Yeah,
like,
I've
go
heard
pay
about
like
that.
$50 and this AI lawyer will figure out exactly what you need to do and even submit stuff for you.
Wow.
Submit the arguments and
Yes.
yeah, I remember seeing that at one point. Yeah.
The real public defender. That's
Yes,
funny.
I mean that's a genius way to use AI.
That is interesting, actually.
get out of tickets.
Because have you seen the caseloads for real, like small court, small claims, public defender kind of things? Like they each have like 2,000 cases or a year or some crazy. It's like what? Like so they do need some help, man. That's crazy.
That's a pretty good way to do it for sure. Let's see.
But I put the article in the private chat for the insurance commissioner.
We're gonna get there. We got to hop back for a second because you also shared this one. Wait, dang it, Jake. There we go. There it is. The first 3D printed steel bridge unveiled in Europe. That is far prettier. And
That's gangster. That's like 40 feet.
I mean, that is sick.
I like it.
I think it following 4 years of planning. I think that's hilarious.
But I didn't know there was.
Thing's beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a 3D printer that can do pieces that large. Honestly, yeah.
That's enormous.
It's all scale with that stuff, right? Like,
you
to go larger, you just have to build. Yeah, you just have to build. The idea is the same thing as a small little plastic 3D printer. Metal's a little bit different because you can't just like extrude the metal out. You'd be going way too hot and then you're cooling. And so they have like a process where basically it lays down a layer of metal dust and then a laser will come through and melt that layer onto
melt it.
Melt that layer onto the layer below it.
Yeah, I was looking for one of those. I was looking to buy one of those printers, but man, they are expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how well are you?
What, the metal ones?
Yes, they're enormous.
The cheapest I saw, desktop metal printer, like 40 grand.
Yeah,
was about the cheapest.
Yeah, and I didn't want a desktop one. I wanted a length of my wall one.
We have
and that was like $200,000
for way less than some of these. That's crazy. Like
yeah.
So the real trick is getting that polymer, that like Keltec uses.
Yeah, let's get some of that.
Get your hands on some of that because from my understanding, Keltec they produce things for NASA in their off season. Like they only actually make firearms so many months out of the year, and then the rest of the time they're doing NASA stuff.
Interesting. Let's see. Here's the other one. What did you want to say about this?
So this was, our state insurance commissioner coming out saying, "Hey, Allstate sucks. I hate them."
To be fair, Allstate does suck. They wouldn't cover our roof leak. They said if you can prove that it's coming in from our basement leak, they said if you can prove that it's coming in through the roof, we'll pay for it. We proved that it was coming in through the roof, and they said, "Oh, it's a pre-existing condition."
What?
I was like, "You just told me
you can't move the goalposts on this."
Yeah. So basically, coming from our own state insurance regulator, they are the mayhem you need protection from.
Interesting.
Do you guys want to hear all of
the best?
I thought of you guys when I heard my girlfriend saying like all of the hoops she has to go through to prove that she's already a therapist, right? Moving to a different state. She's going to get a new state license in Tennessee. Oh my God. It is insane. There are things in here that like are completely redundant and like contradict themselves. And like, it's like 10 or 12 things that you have to do. And it's not like you're applying like out of school and you want to be, she's doing it here. And now she wants to do it there. But you need the signed application. There are, of course, numerous fees.
Of course.
You need a passport style photograph. I don't know why, because you're already going to send in your birth certificate. So why do you need the photograph? And then
Why do they need your birth certificate?
I don't know, because they also need proof that you're a citizen. So it's like you need 3 things of identification to be a therapist that you already are, by the way.
Also, what if
God.
someone didn't have their birth certified? Like,
I don't know. And I was going to say, do you
Why?
even it's not to be president. Do you need to be a citizen to be a therapist? Like, I don't know, man. It's just wild. And then
they
there's like
just want
20
their
other
tax money, man.
and that's the thing. It's just they want their own money. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Mac wants to know if Tennessee won out over Georgia.
That one was irritating. Honestly, I don't know how much better Georgia is, though, in terms of this. I have no idea, but that one was really frustrating.
Our professional licensing board is a freaking circus. I can go ahead and tell you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like good anywhere, but I will say this, though. It's making me really think about like if say we're going to land in like Chattanooga and like if we go to find a house, I'm like, it needs to be a really nice house for a really big discount to just jump 20 miles south and then get resituated with all of this again in a new state with new state laws with like jobs and things like that. Because man, it's been a pain. We thought we were starting early by doing 3 months ahead of time. We're like late trying to get situated for some of this stuff to move. So, man, not fun.
You might want to consider just. Couldn't you go for the license in Georgia while living in Tennessee also to just have that as a
you could
plan?
do it. You could do it ahead of time if you wanted, I suppose. But it's just, it's so much hassle to do. She's got to track down, people that signed off on her. So I had this question. She has to get her transcripts and everything, and that's fine because the school is like an institution that doesn't go anywhere. But she needs to get the person that signed off on her supervision hours, and you need hundreds of hours of supervision when you're in training. Now she's been accepted by Washington as a therapist. Now you still need to prove the thing that got you there. What if the person, and I'm just saying this just because this is a real thing and this happens, what if the person that signed off on that died? Like, who do you talk to then? Because she needs to talk to this person from 7 years ago or something. He's old. I don't know. Like, what happened? You was 7 more. I don't know. Anyway, it's just crazy.
So is there like a because I know like land surveying stuff. If you want to get licensed in another state, you can get licensed by committee, COMITY, committee. And that process is not nearly as bad as a entirely fresh application.
Yeah, it shouldn't be as bad, but she's going through the same hoops that you would if you were going for a fresh application, which is like, there's no distinction between you've been a therapist for 60 years or, you're trying to be a therapist for the first time. And I wish that there was the committee thing as an option like that, or the equivalent, type of thing of like, oh, you've been doing this. Like I wish there was like a state to state like reciprocation of, like you've been accepted over here. Like how different, we were talking about this recently, how different are the standards across states to be a therapist? It can't be that much different. Shouldn't you only need to prove the marginal differences?
You shouldn't need to prove anything.
I
should
agree,
just be able to be a therapist.
Right.
Yeah. Well, to an extent, but like if you've gone through and you've done the thing and you've did the school
especially
and you have the training but good Lord,
you've got the professional board, I'm guessing, that governs it, and that's probably what most of the states set their requirements off of.
Yeah, but each state has their own, and then they want their own. It's really just about they want their own.
So just become a Canadian citizen, real quick, and then
real quick.
But then then come in as a foreign citizen with the same credentials and everything, and they'll fast track your application.
Yeah, probably easier.
All right, y'all. We're unless we're all agreed on a specific conspiracy theory topic to
spin
discuss,
the wheel.
We're going to spin the wheel.
Okay.
We first have to come up with topics that y'all would be interested in discussing or taking a deep dive into, other than 9/11, because it's already on the board. And if there's nothing else, okay, Bohemian Grove. That might take an Alex Jones style journalist to uncover.
Communist infiltration of academia.
Goodness gracious.
You could just
Administration,
you could have academia and then a tree branch of multiple avenues there. Like
Yeah.
yeah, academia sounds. We need specificity. So I like
so
that.
academia as a are we talking about academia alone, and my mind goes to like, what about the Ivy League stuff and the Skull
Yes,
and Bones
sir.
stuff?
Yeah,
or
specifically the
what
last 10 years, guys in
Yeah.
Ivy Leagues getting rounded up for being actual foreign agents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
What else?
Yes, Zach, cryptids.
Or archaeology.
What the frick is cryptids?
Do you say cryptids? Yes.
Cryptozoology. So we're talking chupacabra,
Mhm.
Sasquatch.
Put it on there.
All right, it's
Cthulhu.
on there.
Yeah.
Rockefeller influence on modern medicine.
Interesting.
Okay.
I thought that was just
Yeah.
the Carnegie Mellon.
Rockefeller isn't Rockefeller, or is it? What's the other family name that I always that would along with Rockefeller?
Rothschild.
Can we say the
I
J
always
word?
get those mixed up, but I think it's
Can we say the J word? Can I throw something out?
Yeah.
Throw it out.
The Khazarian Jews,
Right.
the Rothschilds.
When you're talking Rothschilds, yeah.
Right. How
But
do
it's
you
not.
spell
But
Khazarian?
it's a specific flavor. It's a specific subsect of Jews, supposedly. That
Grumpy Gnome.
you know,
Grumpy Gnome suggests Feds infiltrate Georgia LP. That's pretty good.
You could
There
say
we go.
even just as a blanket thing, just like Zionism or whatever, but
yeah, there we go. Zionism. Let's do that.
as a broader, for a
Yeah.
wheel spin thing, like that might you could go a lot of ways.
Is this
with
a
that,
thing?
MK
Yeah.
Ultra,
Yeah.
In
Absolutely.
elementary school?
Well, I would
Well,
just say
let's
MK
not
Ultra,
go
we could
that,
talk about-
let's not
What,
go-
are we talking about CRT now? What are we
Because
doing here?
I think we want to be able to include like Ted Kaczynski and
Okay,
his
yeah.
time
Okay.
at Harvard.
Okay, now I think we have a good list here that we're pretty excited about. Do we want to weight one of these more than another, or do we just want to let it fly and have them all be even?
Ooh, I got
Well,
another
I'm
one.
going to tie 9/11 into all of these. So
Can we add Venona papers maybe?
For
You know,
what?
McCarthyism / Venona papers.
I know less about that.
McCarthyism. How do you spell Venona?
Venona.
All right,
So the Venona papers came out, and turns out I don't want to release too much here, but turns out the Soviets had code names for a lot of sitting U.S. politicians at the time.
Mm.
So Senator McCarthy, in some sense, was absolved about 10 years after he left Congress.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
how
that's
about
on the list.
how
Max
about
Max says alphabet
HARP.
ops.
Yes.
HARP?
HARP.
Can
Yes,
do a-
HARP.
AARP.
Yeah.
Hey,
Angels don't play that harp.
my bad.
What about HARP? Can HARP, would it be under the same umbrella or its own thing with like environmental sort of like sciences and things like that? Or, like,
Oh, that's
climate-based
probably a
stuff?
good idea because like
That's
the
all
whole-
part of it. Weather
That's what I think,
manipulation.
Yeah, weather
Yeah.
manipulation because there was that whole San Diego story where they
How
flooded the
about
city.
just climate?
Natural
science?
disaster,
Yeah.
climate, HARP. It's all kind of
Terraforming, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, it is. Yeah.
We're getting quite a list here.
Oh, we can keep going, but that's why I'm trying to pick like a pie slice broader thing where we can put multiple things in it, so it's not too specific. Like
We can do this one for Jared and say lizard people.
We're not going to put lizard people. in.
I do. Yeah, I try to stay away from the lizard people. Honestly.
How about the SDR as the reserve currency?
the SDR?
Or we get to say world currency.
currency? Let's just do finance and currency. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, finance and currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot to say about that.
And
Right.
Ooh, Las Vegas shooting. Right? That's
Las
what he's
Vegas,
talking
I
about?
could.
Las
I
Vegas
think that's
shooting?
big enough to make its own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot on that one.
There's a
The
lot.
Let's see.
academia.
Danielle
would you wanna
says
do-
instead of spinning the wheel, can you just do a day per topic? Because I'm
Yes,
down for all
I
of
mean,
it.
eventually, I would love.
Okay. We'll do so. Definitely, whatever it lands on, we're gonna do a full-on deep dive, long episode about. But then I think we should do a few different episodes where we talk about a few of the other ones that don't
Put
fit.
a slash on the academia one and put like archaeology or like anthropology or like some things about like our own human history kind of stuff.
That could go. That slash could go with the cryptids.
That's true though too, and
cryptid / hidden archaeology or something like that.
Giants, and it gets weird, but yeah.
So you're talking about like the Lovelock Caves in the 1920s in Utah. When they found these giants on a throne with red hair still attached.
Yeah,
and there was corpses all in the cave.
Yeah, I did see that.
I think there were like giants on Catalina Island in California also.
They're everywhere with this report.
It's the Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Thank you. It's a fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Do we have enough to spin the wheel?
We got enough to start for today for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. No, I don't
Motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations.
I second.
Okay. Nominations are closed. Create. Here we go. We're gonna spin.
Those are very similar colors.
Yeah, they really are. Here, I'm gonna edit it because the colors are too similar.
Your range, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go with this sucker.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. I can actually read now.
Rockefeller influence on modern medicine goes into the center, which means I feel like it's gonna get selected no matter what. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh.
Well, how appropriate. We were just talking about the bank.
All right.
Bullshit.
All right. So we're going to do a deep dive into finance and currency.
I feel like this will be more of a Stephen led thing. I'm less keen on the specifics.
I'm not the published filmmaker in this topic.
Yeah, I gotta say,
the
deep dives that I've gone down on this rabbit hole is
I have some things I might be able to add, but look, Jake is the authority on this one right now.
I was actually planning on doing a Free Georgia podcast episode specifically on what's happening with the U.S. dollar, which actually, this leads us. This is a great segue to Peter St. Onge. I don't know if y'all have followed this guy on Twitter. But we're going to watch a 3-minute video.
It's pretty great.
Because this guy's freaking awesome and more people need to hear this. So here we go. 3 minutes. Feel free to talk over it, insert comments, yada, yada, yada. But here we go.
A video warning that de-dollarization could be coming. Today, we got news that France cut a deal to buy 65,000 tons of natural gas from China denominated in yuan. This is a big deal. 6 weeks ago, it was just pariah nations like Iran or Russia trying to de-dollarize their trade. Last week, it was Brazil. Now it's France. So what happens next? What if the US dollar is about to be dethroned as the world's reserve currency? De-dollarization means foreigners don't need as many dollars. This means there are extra dollars nobody wants. This makes the price of the dollar fall. It gets weaker. That's usually slow at first, and then it picks up speed if it keeps going, a progressive rush for the exits. So we Americans are obligated to use the US dollar thanks to an obscure law passed in 1862 as a wartime emergency that's survived for 151 years now. Americans have no choice. Unless you have gold or Bitcoin, you go down with that ship. Now, falling dollar drives up the price of everything that comes into America, but it also drives up the price of anything traded on world markets. That's the raw materials, the imported components that drive American factories and sustain American consumers. First to jump would be gasoline, heating fuel, food prices. All of these are world markets. They're very liquid. Along with prescription drugs, since China has a creeping stranglehold thanks to our idiotic overregulation. Indeed, this is more or less true for every consumer product that China dominates. We shot ourselves in the foot. Now it's coming back to bite us.
I was going to say, it's not just prescription, but it's a lot.
Commodities and input prices pour out through the supply chains. They yank up prices in industry after industry. So cars, construction materials like steel or concrete, clothes, furniture, TVs, computers, medical devices. Gone are the days of affordable luxuries. Now you got to work for it. And that's when the main event begins, capital flows. If foreigners get nervous, they sell not only dollars, they sell assets denominated in dollars, starting with the most liquid, stocks, bonds, treasuries. These are very easy to trade. IBM stock takes you about a minute to trade compared to a Taiwanese factory in Wisconsin. So the liquid assets go first. Now, about 40% of American stocks are owned by foreigners and 1/3 of corporate bonds. If foreigners start fleeing, both plunge. This could cut your 401k almost in half, It could drive up borrowing costs for companies to impossible levels.
Well, they need
That would lead to
democracy and
mass
freedom.
bankruptcies on top
Well,
of the
obviously.
wave of bankruptcies the Fed is
this just seems like
already
a
engineering
good collateral
to try and
damage.
stop the inflation it started. It doesn't stop there. 1/3 of U.S. treasuries are owned by foreigners. That's over $8 trillion in bonds.
Wow.
If foreigners start dumping those, it will either send U.S. government debt service
Japan owns more than
soaring
China.
by potentially hundreds of billions of dollars a year. That all has to be deficit funded.
A
Or, much
third.
more likely, the Fed simply steps in and replaces all of that foreign demand, which would flip inflation overnight back to the march into double digits. Losing reserve currency status would savage the American economy. It would savage the American people. No country needs reserve currency status. After all, it doesn't benefit the people. But like climbing a cliffside with no gear, once you go halfway, you better not let go. All right, we'll be watching this. See you next time.
Well,
Wow.
I would, yeah, the people don't benefit from reserve currency status. I think you kind of do,
Yeah. I mean, because our dollar's not backed by anything, but we'll be your police force. We'll sell you weapons, mainly depleted uranium, obviously. But there was a time that that was one of the big things that Trump was doing beneficial, was we were winning the trade war against China. And there was a time under Trump that iron rebar was cheaper than cabbage in China.
Jeez.
And so what Homeboy's talking about when you start selling liquid assets, just imagine, because that was one thing. And again, a broken clock is right twice a day. I don't believe in capital controls. I don't believe in market controls. But the one of the Obamacare things, not the Obamacare things, but one of the things that was passed, it was the ARA, the American Recovery Act under Obama, was that we can only buy American steel. And that was what made Chinese steel cheaper than cabbage, or steel and iron as well. We can only buy metals that are manufactured here. Now, just imagine if that gets lifted, and then China's been building these ghost cities for 20 years now plus, just to keep their construction industry alive.
Is that real?
And all of a sudden they can start selling their slag to us, because that's what it is. It's slag. It's our stuff actually passes pressure tests and tensile strength tests and all that kind of stuff. Just imagine if that starts flooding our markets. If we start buying substandard iron and steel from China, I mean, we're screwed at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the fact that all this is starting to happen, and Brazil tried to buy some stuff off the petrodollar, and France actually did. When was the last time France did that? Never. Since the US dollar has become the world reserve currency, they've been only dealing in US dollars since that day.
Well, to be fair, France was the country that started calling our bluff under the previous agreement. Why can't I remember
the Paris Climate Accords?
No, 1971. When they completely closed.
When we got off the gold dollar. When we got off the
why can't I remember what the name of the agreement is?
I don't know. Probably because your brain doesn't work. You've been drinking too much.
Remember the year though,
Yeah. Well, 1971 is the year we went off
off the gold standard or whatever.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a fake gold standard to that point, but
and that's a whole other thing too. I thought, okay, so the 30% bond thing owned by foreign, entities or whatever, I didn't know. But I also find it disturbing how much of our own land and assets and things like that, and farmland and whatever else, are owned by either, foreign entities or Bill Gates. But
well, here's something interesting. The same company that owns the New York Stock Exchange owns the National Mortgage Database, the MERS system.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
MERS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, best believe if you got a mortgage on your house, they can do whatever they want if the dollar is pulled out of this equation.
Perfect.
Interesting.
What countries are left? It's is it still just Iran and North Korea and just a handful of countries that don't accept the petrodollar as the exchange level.
And Cuba,
base or whatever.
oddly enough, ones that also don't
Oh,
have a
yeah,
Rothschild-owned central bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but people are real. Like every time a country has started to talk about getting off the petrodollar is when we go and invade their country.
That's what I was going to get at, is like anyone that doesn't fall in line, we have something to say about it, of course, and we'll come up with some BS reason. And a lot of times, I think the CIA will stage something in that country to need intervention.
Cough, Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why
the
then...
worst video I've ever seen in my life was that guy getting murdered.
Right. Yeah, I was supposed to be working that day, but I was like, hold on, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember there actually being weapons of mass destruction. Don't you?
Under Saddam's house, or is that
So I remember reports of yellow cake in the banks of the Tigris River. And
that's where I keep it. Yeah.
And that was phone calls from veteran friends of mine that were just checking in, and they said, "Hey, I can't tell you where we are, but I'm on the banks of the Tigris. We think we found some yellow cake. I gotta go."
So, banks of the Tigris and Euphrates. This is the problem of picking a wheel spin thing, because now I want to segue into another one with more of the like archaeological and Sumerian historical stuff or whatever.
Do it.
But
We're in free flow conversation at this point, anyway.
Small point on that though is that I think one of the guises for the Iraq War, that was there, and covered up that we weren't supposed to know about, was actually archaeological in a weird way. And I don't know
the Stargate.
Yeah, well, that's what people have talked about. I don't know the function of it or whatever, but I can only say what I know, right? And I know that they raided museums, the military did, and they said that they were doing it to protect the like cuneiform tablets and different things like that or whatever. And we're like, oh, we're going to protect it and give it back. They never gave that shit back, and they were never going to give it back. It was a full-blown raid. And then apparently while they were there, they found, and I don't know if it was like under a dry riverbed or where they said they found it, but the tomb of like Gilgamesh or something in the years when we were there in Iraq. Yeah.
It was like in front of the Sphinx or something, wasn't it?
It's not in Egypt. I don't think it's closer to where the Fertile Crescent used to be. It's actually more Baghdad,
Mesopotamia somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, all these things were happening during the Iraq wars. After we were told about the weapons of mass destruction and the yellow cake and all the phony stuff, I actually think that that's one of the reasons why we were actually there. And it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you go into 30 more episodes of this to talk about why that might matter. But anyway,
I mean, there's a reason why Alexander the Great, wound up hanging out there a lot. That was, he found some stuff there. That was where the Rosetta Stone came from too.
I don't know where the Rosetta Stone.
Didn't that come out of Egypt? No.
Okay.
No, not Egypt.
Israel.
That doesn't sound right either. I don't know.
I think it's Kansas City, I think.
There we go.
Let's go with.
I've had just enough beer that my geography is getting messed up on that. But but it was that was one of those. I remember hearing that stuff. That was because George Bush was Skull and Bones, and he was in all the secret stuff. He was a 33rd level degree master mason and all this kind of stuff. So we go over there and we're just collecting artifacts. Basically, we're going to Babylon and we're covering up ancient history.
So was like John Kerry, I think, right? If I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. My point is that both.
Why did he go to Antarctica with the Pope in 2016?
Thank you. Yes, that's so weird about trying to say it's about some green bullshit or whatever. Like, it's super weird. Why go all the way down there? And I'm like, if you're trying to be green, don't spend all the fucking diesel fuel to get down to Antarctica for no reason. Like, I don't know, man. It just doesn't make any sense.
Did y'all ever watch Arrested Development?
Oh yeah. You watched that?
Yeah. Do you remember what they pinned? They blamed weapons of mass destruction on in that show. Was they thought they received photographs
and it was
of weapons of mass destruction. It was a close-up photo of Tobias's balls.
Yeah. Oh, those are balls. Yeah, Henry Winkler or whatever. Like, too funny.
That was.
But yeah, so the the interesting theory with Antarctica is that you look at the Piri Reis maps. He was a navigator, I think, for the Persians.
Yeah, Piri Reis. Yeah.
And he clearly depicted on his maps as Antarctica being green land.
There's a lot of old maps
with a race of giants walking around.
Yeah,
like he took captain's notes of like these guys are at least twice as tall as us.
There's a lot of maps that conflict with in terms of the timeline what we were supposed to know by these different times. I have a little fun trivia bit for you, just related to what we were saying. So it's not Kansas City where the Rosetta Stone was found, but it was Memphis, Egypt. So not that far.
That's pretty funny.
Well, Rosetta, a couple miles from Rosetta, Egypt.
Yeah,
technically.
Interesting.
Oh, okay, well that makes a lot of sense then.
I found an interesting Instagram reel on the Bush family. So let's check this out real quick since we brought them up.
With like Prescott Bush and all that, and
funding Hitler and getting kicked out of the Federal Reserve Bank.
Of an American bank funding the Third Reich during World War II under the Trading with the Enemy Act. The bank's director, Prescott Bush, 1963. Yeah. A prominent House Republican spoke at an oil industry event in Dallas on the eve of JFK's assassination. He later called in a false tip to the FBI. To this day, he can't recall any of this happening or even where he was. His name? George Herbert Walker Bush, 1981. The night before John Hinckley shot President Reagan, Hinckley's brother Scott was supposed to have dinner with a close friend. Who was it? Neil Bush. 2001, on 9/11. Stratesec handled security for the World Trade Center, Dulles Airport, and United Airlines. Who served 7 years on their board of directors? Marvin Bush. That is quite a family Bush. I mean, true.
The family.
Yeah,
Bush.
there we go.
Yeah,
notice Jeb is not in there. Clap,
Jeb,
you bastards.
Please clap. Yeah.
Jeb's involved, I'm sure. Yeah, but Marvin was what I was thinking of with the Securicom or whatever it was, and all of that at 9/11. But and then Prescott, was it Prescott that was like part of starting the CIA?
No, was it?
He ran a Federal Reserve Bank, and he was real friendly to Hitler because he was running stuff through Hitler. I remember listening to the Dangerous History podcast, and they were talking about that and like the birth of Firestone tires and all that kind of stuff is kind of linked to this. But Hitler was played on the radio here in the 40s. Like he was, until it came out that like, hey, he's burning people alive. Like he was a popular statesman.
That didn't even. A lot of that didn't even come out until the very end there. The media, I think, wasn't believing the reports of, Holocaust and they
didn't want to believe it because like the speeches he were giving, like if you listen to, if you read the transcript, if it's translated into English and you read some of his speeches, it'll get you riled up. It's yeah, all right,
How much?
I mean, they're good speeches. I mean, he's bringing the heat, but then it's then the whole we're killing certain races. That comes into play, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Whoa, hold on."
Well, yeah, a lot of that didn't start coming in until there was the start of it. I mean, the actual death camps didn't really kick off until like getting into the war.
So if we're going to talk about
as they were
Nazis and Hitler in context with the finances that we're supposed to be on, what if we talked about the Nazi gold reserves and where those ended up?
Where did they end up, Alden?
Well, so a lot of them ended up here. There was some that was found off of the coast of New York or whatever, and then that was like, of course, claimed and then melted down and then used here. And then this is after, I believe, the whole gold standard thing was. Oh, this is my field, like of silly expertise. Like I'm just interested in this kind of stuff. But yeah, a lot of Nazi gold ended up here, used by I think more of the like to fund deep state level projects is what I think a lot of it.
Why did NASA have German accents through the 50s?
Oh no, they hit straight up paperclip level. I mean, you guys know about Project Paperclip. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. Werner von Braun wasn't running a slave factory making missiles. or
Go to
anything.
Huntsville, Alabama,
Yeah.
which oddly enough is going to be the hub of the new Quantico for FBI.
I'll be close soon.
Really?
I can go.
FBI is building a brand new headquarters in Huntsville, Alabama that is going to be. It's going to
FBI.
replace Quantico. They're moving
Yeah.
out of Virginia with their headquarters into Huntsville, Alabama. They have more spies per capita than any other city in the country.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And it's the home of the Werner von Braun Space Center.
Yeah. CIA is moving out of Langley into what, Denver or something? Or Colorado in general?
What?
Or whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, they're opening a new facility and they say it's their argument for it to spend all the money to move is like to fight groupthink. Like, since when does the CIA worried about groupthink or whatever? But yeah, they're
Goodness gracious. So they're blatantly saying that they're doing it to control Americans.
Well, there's argument. I don't believe this at all, but they're saying that within their own facility and institution, they're trying to branch out so that they get different, cultural opinions on the inside of their workforce. That's some bullshit. No one cares. But it's more because I think they're going to turn Colorado into the I think it's going to be more like Atlanta area and Colorado are going to be in charge of shit militarily later. But
I'm so glad I didn't buy land in Colorado. I was so
Oh,
close to
Denver's
doing
the COG. The Denver airport. I mean, they've got
Yeah.
that. Well, there's lots of conspiracy with that one.
Yeah,
that's a rabbit hole that we're not going to have time to get.
So back to the currency thing, though. So it's fun to note that UPS and I think FedEx as well. Any international shipments, they convert your native currency into SDRs before they ship them internationally. Strategic drawing rights that are backed by the IMF.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Strategic drawing lines.
Yeah.
Danielle
This
just
one-
is obsessed with conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Danielle might need to come on this show.
Yeah, she was one time on accident because I gave her the wrong link.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's Danielle. Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know anything about the Denver airport one until I was there with my wife and she mentioned it, or somebody did.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre one.
Yeah, that the Denver airport is a huge rabbit hole to go down.
Isn't Space Force in Colorado as well? Aren't they?
Well, the
stationed
Air
there?
Force, the Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs.
I didn't say Air Force. I said Space Force.
Well, it came out of it's under the same department.
No, it's its own thing. Trump made sure it's its own thing.
Well, it's its
Yeah,
own branch,
there you
but
go.
it's under the Department of the Air Force still.
I did find a Space Force satellite or satellite dish in Hawaii when I was there last year. It was really
Cool.
weird. It actually said like Space Force on it. It was bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a quick break, guys. I'll be right back.
Was it checking for those Chinese space lasers?
It probably was. It was
He's
probably
gonna be-
generating the Chinese space.
Have you
lasers.
noticed the logos so as a logo designer, like I always pay attention to this, but the symbolism with the logos for these different things that have been popping up, like Space Force and things like that, are like not even subtle, but like blatantly like weird, like Egyptian pharaoh level stuff happening, like super weird, like. And that makes me just ask, like, I might have even already asked you guys this. Why the hell does everything that we do either look like Roman Colosseum or Egyptian, like why
question.
of all the architecture to choose? It's partly rhetorical, but
Can we rebuild the White House into like modern contemporary White House? Like
What,
maybe
you
a,
mean
maybe a log cabin style.
Trashy and motionless?
Trashy and motionless.
just some.
How
just
about some
mobile home,
brutalist?
like-
Just concrete?
I like that.
But
It
why
would
it
fit the
why it
scene
was
better.
Obelisks and
Yeah.
like
I don't know why.
Parthenon level looking stuff or whatever.
Because
I
we
don't
were
know.
we were trying to model it after democracy, that whole crap.
Maybe on the surface.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the surface is all we care about, Alden.
That's
That's all Americans need to know is what's happening
Right.
on the surface.
Don't pay attention to the ancient mythological man behind the curtain or whatever. Like,
Any of you Georgia libertarians fans of Yaron Brook?
I don't know. Yaron Brook.
I've listened to some of his stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't know
okay
talking.
when it comes to the objectivists. I have a lot of disagreements with the objectivists.
What's his
But
whole spiel?
He runs the Ayn Rand Institute. He's
Yeah.
he's an
Oh.
objectivist.
Yeah, objectivist. He's an interesting fellow for sure. He can be pretty difficult
Anyone
to
that
listen to
runs the
sometimes,
Ayn
in my
Rand,
opinion.
Yeah,
But,
Institute.
I mean,
would have to be.
Atlas Shrugged is is my favorite book of all time. So like,
Yeah,
I get the objectivism thing.
I
There's
actually really
there's
love the
good there's good and
Fountainhead.
there's bad to it. I just disagree with where objectivism leads.
Yeah,
overall.
I agree.
What's
The conclusions
what
of it.
is if you were to define objectivism in like a sentence, what would you say?
Well, I think the big difference is under objectivism, you could justify like a one world government as long as it was run by reason.
Yeah, but they're hilarious that's only true with true objectivism. But then, how do we keep subjectivism out of it? Like, and
Right.
Yeah. So in theory, again, that's one of those things that might work, but then I just don't trust us to do it. But
yeah,
right. That's where I see a lot of disagreement.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I mean,
I disagree
Atlas-
with some basic.
This brings
Ayn
up the
Rand
concept
principles.
of AI though, and like how if we get to a certain point with AI, are we going to look to that as like the objectivism like standard, even though it was designed by people probably with a certain sort of
you're seeing all those like ChatGPT. You're seeing how biased it can be just because of the people who coded it. But then when you break it, I've seen people break it, and it becomes this crazy authoritarian nightmare. It's bizarre, man. That AI stuff is going to be weird once it gets like more off the ground, for sure.
It scares me on either side, like, however it goes, like whether it's like just at the point where it is now, where it's not true, what we think of as AI, it's not actually like an intelligence of its own. It's not conscious as far as I can, tell or whatever. But that's scary because then it's just driven by people and just basically doing the bidding of people better and faster than people could do, which is alarming. But
right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you think AI is like true AI is actually even possible? Like, do you think that something human made can develop intelligence, like
I don't
real
know.
intelligence? Because
I really don't know.
I don't.
It comes down. I think it comes down to can we prove the general AI is actually general AI, right?
Or can we prove that our own, like intrinsically our intelligence comes from the brain, or does it come from like the, consciousness or a soul, or like there's different ways to interpret it and to define it. And like, can a machine ever have certain qualities of these?
Interesting.
And are all things conscious to different degrees? That's another question.
Yeah. Where are, I'm just curious, on y'all's screens, who is where?
So Jake, you're top left for me. Steven's top right.
Okay.
Next to bottom right. Yeah.
So if I do this, it swaps y'all?
Yeah, now I'm on the top. That's Now
okay,
I'm
this is cool.
Oh no, I was like, I'm hanging out with the porcupine up there.
I'm learning new features of StreamYard. They just came out with a whole new release of features. Like
I see a button that says stream this to my audience, so I could get a StreamYard account and I guess stream it at the same time.
Well, you can stream it to your own account on YouTube or whatever. So like a guest could
I'm just thinking, we could do some crossover things here. I think.
We should get Shane on sometime and do a whole Bitcoin episode.
Yes.
And
let's book that after next week's guest, Cynthia McKinney.
Yeah.
And then we have, I think, Forrest Mommy coming up at some point. We're gonna have we got guests and guests, but let's get Shane on sometime and we can.
Yeah. Robert thinks it absolutely is possible. That's analytical versus synthetic. Analytical.
I was gonna suggest. I know the PA guys have their own show going on at Thursday night. I could talk to them and see if we can get a
that'd be cool
cross stream going with those guys.
That'd be fun.
What's the definition of novel generation of ideas?
Novel generation, new, like on its own, like birthed from nothing, like it's its own
But that's
thing.
what I'm saying. You said from nothing, like truly nothing. Like that's actually really difficult for computers to have true random information, and so far it's not possible. So far, it's only like, do you know about the people that when they try to do like random generators of things, like there's different ways to do it, but they'll put like a sensor on the roof and it's based on like the wing flaps of pigeons or something that's like organic and the computer will like generate random stuff from that, and it needs external stimuli to do it truly randomly. Otherwise, it is predictive. It's a more and more complicated equation, but it's still predictive. Like,
Interesting.
so as far as I know, right now we're not at the novel generation level, but
yeah, no,
but he said
I
possible,
agree.
so I don't know if it's I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I don't think it's been done yet. But
Yeah, I almost certain it hasn't been done yet. Otherwise, we'd hear about it all the daggum time.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, I still am under the thought process that it's not possible. Like, I just don't see. My brain can't get to a way where that is
I'll
actually
bet it'll
doable.
be like a soulless bastardization of intelligence. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just emotions stripped out of the equation.
Yeah.
And
Well, what
it'll
was
just be-
what did the U.S. Air Force have? There was in the early Obama years, it was you remember back when the PS3 was like the hottest thing, and then they came out with this update because the first two generations of PS3s, you could partition the hard drive and you could run Linux on one, and then normal
cool.
PlayStation operations on the other.
Right.
Well, the U.S. Air Force had thousands of these things daisy chained together.
Yeah,
and it was an AI. It was learning. It was intelligent, and they could you'd come in and get face to face with it, so to say, and talk with it, and it would learn from your daily interactions.
Yeah, you could run NORAD off of a bunch of PS3s.
But then Sony forced the firmware update that wouldn't allow you to partition the hard drives,
so you
and
couldn't
it bricked their entire project.
Well, why do they have it connected?
The U.S. Air Force was pissed when they forced the update. I remember reading that article because
that's funny.
Yeah,
good for them.
Well, they should have developed their own shit,
Yeah.
I have a question. This is not fully my idea or my theory necessarily, but it's truly a question. Do you trust the creator? What is it? What's his name? The Satori guy, or what? The Bitcoin creator guy?
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you trust that story is authentic, or do you think that Bitcoin was created and it is?
I don't think we need to trust it. We can verify it.
Yeah, I don't.
Not the story, but we can verify the code and the rules.
Listen, fellas, I'm a Christian. Okay, so I judge a tree by its fruits, and those are some big ass fruits hanging down off them tree limbs right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
that's a legit protocol. That's a legit network. It's tried and true. It's proven. The Rothschilds have tried to breach it. They've tried to control it. They've tried to create their own parallel network that flopped multiple times now.
Yeah.
It's disruptive. It was built to be a disruptive technology to, the fractional reserve banking system, modern monetary theory, Keynesian economics as a whole, global economics, whatever. Yeah, man. I don't care if it's a real person I can touch and feel. It doesn't matter.
I agree with
No.
Steven. Like I don't really care about if it was a gift to the world or like if it's done
Or if it's
completely
CIA
out of
created.
generosity or CIA created it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you can, as Zach just said in the comments, it doesn't matter. You can audit the code. And so like if you can go in and scour every single line of code and see exactly how it was made, then you can.
And we know the rules.
There's nothing hiding.
We know, and the individual users are what creates the network. Anyone can run a node. It's very simple. It doesn't take much hardware at all to do it.
Yep.
I mean, you can have your own computer running a node, from nothing for, you could do it on an old computer, or you could buy a Raspberry Pi and do it for $100.
Yep.
Or
Okay,
less, so like,
I mean,
you can run your own code there, and then that means you're running your version of the Bitcoin software. You've got to be in agreement with everyone else's version of it. Everyone has to agree on the rules.
Right.
There's no one justifying the rules.
So Danielle loves conspiracy theories, but she hates bad grammar. Yeah.
No, I was going to point out the correct whom usage. I was wondering why you were throwing it up. So I recognize the benefits of it, and I recognize the security of it at this point, but I just still wonder who made it, and I wonder if it's that the CIA or whatever could also use it for similar, you know, like anonymous reasons that we enjoy it too. And
Well, yeah,
if they
anybody can.
probably
Anyone
have
can use
this,
it. Yeah.
if they have the strongest computers in the world, which I imagine they do, they probably could mine the most of anyone too, and constantly get more than everyone else, you know, respectively or whatever. But
Well,
Well,
as Robert says here,
institutional holders are the largest players in the game right now. So you know,
as Robert
anytime you
says here,
see,
it's a relationship between energy and the software there, right? So the hardware is only so good. You're with Bitcoin, you're running specialized ASICs that are only good for application specific, whatever integrated circuits, and those are only for those only do the Bitcoin algorithm, right? SHA-256, and that's about the only thing they're good for. So it doesn't matter if you have these massive data centers competing, a data center of ASICs versus a data center of your standard servers. There's no difference there, right? So I mean, unless the feds are acquiring ASICs at an astounding rate, which I mean, we have an idea of how often those are produced, how much are produced and what rate they can be produced and how much hash rate can be added to the network. Logistically, it would be incredibly hard for them to be acquiring that kind of power to do it.
okay,
Yeah.
you guys
there you
know a
go.
lot more
And,
about it than me.
and you know, let's not gloss over the fact that we got a North Korean agency. What is it, Bureau 13 or whatever, that just constantly runs circles around us in the digital sphere. Okay, so yeah, we came out with the Stuxnet virus that totally grounded the nuclear operation in Iran. We played Thunderstruck by AC/DC at max volume on all their loudspeakers at all their plants.
That's a very
24/7 for like 3 weeks. We did that. The Mossad helped us cook that up. But we've got this North Korean agency, which look at them in Google Earth on night view. Okay, North Korea is kicking our ass digitally, habitually. Like, it's not even a contest.
Really?
So, yes, the CIA, the U.S. government, we're all big and bad. But, look at, when Congress does hearings on digital rights, it's people that are still wearing powdered wigs, basically, for God's sakes.
Oh, well, I mean, even just in general, U.S.'s internet is shit compared to other places, and like 8 times more expensive for like the speed or whatever.
So yes, I mean there is that. There is still that fraction of us that is the best and brightest on the planet ever, and that that's why I wake up in the morning and still go to work. Quite honestly, but for the most part, the entire agencies as a whole are a joke. So to think that we're the purveyors of what is security on the digital sphere is a farce.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, to continue down the same path on that, though. I mean, once you get the ASICs, you have to get the electricity, so the power draw you'd have to have on the grid, and then it's all. Then the mining is basically random, right? So you're guessing these hashes, guess and check method. Thousands of hashes a second, millions of hashes a second. And basically it comes down to how many, what percentage of the network you're running is if you create the block. And then, so in order to even have a chance at, creating, say, 6 blocks in a row to solidify some sort of thing in there, you've got to be running well over half of the entire power on the block, half of the hashing power on the blockchain.
The only thing, and I'm not like pushing back on like I'm truly more asking because you guys know a lot about this, but I will just say that I don't think that the darker corners of our military rely on the grid. I really think that they have their own form of power in several ways. I don't think that it would be accounted for in the same way or whatever.
Well, I mean, grid or not, things that go boom rule the world anyways.
Yeah.
It has been for a while, yeah. But.
Yeah. But just look at what John McAfee did. Okay, so while he, before he ran for president and went on the lam, he was running.
He ran for president?
Yes, sir. 2016.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this the guy that did the whole software developer and then he said he would never kill himself and then he got imprisoned and then died?
He
in
got
prison
whacked.
and then...
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you glossed over 30
go
years
down.
of amazing
Yeah,
stories right
But I
there.
just-
We could go down rabbit holes on the Mac. Add it to the list. Add McAfee.
Yeah.
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 So what
Yes, he did
and
not
full
estimate.
disclosure, look, I bought stock in MGT, McAfee Global Technologies, because he took over some kind of mobile app gaming software BS, blah, gutted it and made it a crypto mining agency.
Mhm.
And he went all over North Georgia, Cleveland, all over Fannin County, things like that, burying these subterranean generators to power his crypto mining agency that was hubbed in Tennessee. So we're talking North Georgia mountains, South Tennessee, that area. He's got generators underground all over the place. I mean, he buried like
North
300
Georgia
of these things.
mountains. Was it a moonshine generator? Like
Yeah. There you go.
moonshine powered.
That's right.
there.
That would totally work too.
By the way,
That would work,
I can show you. Never mind. Well, I'll tell you when I meet you in person.
Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No cell phones around.
But John McAfee was that was what he was doing. MGT, and he picked up what was the guy, Elisha, or something like that. He was some well-known hacker that he brought him onto his board of directors, and they were building some peer-to-peer file sharing software. They were doing the crypto mining. He was real heavy into it. Now I was like, oh, I'm all in. I am all in. And then the SEC dropped the hammer on him, and he got moved to the OTC markets. And all of a sudden, the stock price plummeted, and then he went on the lam. And we know how that story ends. But fact remains, there's crypto mining generators buried all over the place in North Georgia and South Tennessee that John McAfee put there, 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't mean to glaze over just like so much of that, but more to just make sure we were talking about the right person because I'm so bad with names. But
yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
I did, all fairness, I did write him in just because Austin Peterson asked me not to vote for him.
yeah, fair. Sometimes you know what to do based on what you're told not to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin,
rule of thumb.
I was all in with the Freedom Ninjas, and then Austin Peterson's like, "Don't vote for me. It's a waste." All right, man, you got it.
I've got the Shaman's interview pulled up if we want to watch some of that.
Yeah,
I've not seen this.
All right.
Attack on this country. Do you understand that?
No, they were not, ma'am. My actions were not an attack on this country. That is incorrect. That is inaccurate entirely.
How would you describe them?
My actions personally?
On January 6th.
My actions on January 6th, how would I describe them? Well, I sang a song, and that's a part of shamanism. It's about creating positive vibrations in a sacred chamber. I also stop people from stealing and vandalizing that sacred space, the Senate. Okay, I actually stopped somebody from stealing muffins out of the break room. I also said a prayer in that sacred chamber because it was my intention to bring divinity and to bring God back into the Senate.
But Jake, legally, you were not allowed to be in what you're calling the sacred chamber.
And that is the one very serious regret that I have, was believing that when we were waved in by police officers, that it was acceptable.
Do you still believe you're a patriot?
I consider myself a lover of my country. I consider myself a believer in the Constitution. I consider myself a believer in truth and our founding principles. I consider myself a believer in God.
Your actions on January.
So, interesting.
Very much.
I mean, dude definitely seems calm, chill, like especially for being in freaking jail for a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe
like, level-headed.
I don't like the repeated use of the word sacred when referring to the
well, obviously libertarians don't, you dingus. Obviously Steven, you broke up. You went gone for a minute. Kept talking without you.
He was talking?
Yeah, he started talking and then he froze.
Oh man.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, obviously libertarians don't like referring to the Senate chambers as sacred. But
right.
dude definitely did not seem like he was there attacking the Capitol.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Because even what was released on that day was, him, he walked in and, someone like one of the Capitol officers was wounded in there. And he says, dude, you all right? You need some help? Can we get this man some medical help? Saw to it that he got a first aid kit.
Yeah. Yep.
I still don't know what to believe about it, in terms of like this person and their role in it and all of that. And so I'm just cautious about, but because there's so much weirdness about it. But I will say that like whatever the media is depicting him as, I that's the first thing I don't believe, or whatever. But and
If you don't believe the corporate press, you're gonna be right more often than you're wrong.
Yeah, right. As your guiding litmus, for this, but with him, I don't know what to believe with this guy in general or whatever, but are we to take him at his word and all of that? And I don't know I don't quite understand the whole, like, instead of the separation of, but like the unification of church and state. I'm like, I don't know what we're trying to do with that. That's odd to me, but again, as libertarians maybe, but
Robert's got a good point here. Sacred need not be religious, just set aside for special use. So, when they say, these are sacred halls, it's one of those things where it's like, this is where the business is done.
I mean,
don't crap where you eat. These are basic tenets of society, right?
Some reverence while we're at work there, and like with the responsibility level that we have or don't have anymore, at these certain positions, sure, but that whole thing is fishy, and we could go into that whole thing another day, but
trying to use that as a legal precedent, like I understand, like how we all operate and these kind of things, like, hey man, keep something holy, have some respect. I get that, like how we operate, on a societal level, right? But when they're trying to use this as a legal precedent for, like, you entered our sacred halls, bro, these are my halls.
Yeah,
you are a part-time employee.
Yeah. And truly, I mean, in the police ushering people through or whatever, I mean, I've seen long ago, actually, I've seen lots of videos about that. Before I saw the one about him specifically being ushered, I saw the ones where they were opening doors for just like hordes of people and stuff. And it was super weird. And I tried to, like, I think I mentioned this before, I tried to like show some of my family this, where I was like, oh, this is damning evidence. And I'm like, no, everyone's got an answer for everything, and they've got a reason why, that happened. And I'm like, it's just so strange, man.
Yeah. Yep. You're not wrong.
Once you believe a thing and once your identity is wrapped up in it.
Well, I've got nothing else to share tonight, but I'm going to put this one up. It's has nothing to do with anything we've talked about the entire time. I just find these things hysterical. And I find this meme to be great.
Nice.
This is my current favorite meme, is this Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal moment in whatever movie that is, which I definitely need to watch.
Is that cut together from two different movies, or is that one movie?
That's one movie.
Wow.
And I got to find what that movie is too, because I had a similar moment when I was in my Sunday school group. This was a couple of years ago, and we were debating putting my son in homeschool and all that kind of stuff. I was like, well, I just don't want to deprive him of the social aspect. Mm-hmm. And then someone leaned in and put their hand on my shoulders, like, honey, that's the point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, you might be right.
But man, those memes, that particular one can be used so many times. I'm trying to find another instance where I saved it, because I've saved it like 15 times with 15 different things. But yeah,
if we talk about on another wheel spin, if we get academia is like a education for the kids in this country part of that, or does that deserve its own like wheel spin slot?
No, I think that'd be part of it.
Okay.
For
so
sure.
So we hit on back on the currency thing. Did we talk about how Mexican President Vicente Fox, when George Bush was president, HW, when he was president, Vicente Fox was handing comic books out to people crossing over our southern border. And in these comic books, they were talking about how the North American continent would be united under a single currency called the Amero.
I don't know about this. I know.
Yeah, that
that's
was
interesting.
who was really pushing that?
George Soros.
Oh,
Well, it was Soros, but there was an actual political. I can't remember who it was. It's been a while since I've.
yeah, no worries. That's new.
Yeah, I mean, like we're going back to like 07, 08 right now. So it was yeah.
Or we could talk.
I don't know exactly who was pushing it, but that was when I was following Sean Hannity real hard. That was back when I was still kind of a Republican. I listened to Neil Bortz just be edgy.
What's you guys' take on when the greenback was presented in the Lincoln's days or whatever, and then he was killed or whatever, but
Killed or
whatever. Yeah.
I lean more towards whatever.
Yeah, right. But as a currency that was, who oh man, I don't have my notes, but like there's a quote about that, and I'm trying to think if it was one of the like Rothschilds or something like that said like this kind of like a "this won't do" quote because we can't control that currency kind of a thing. But now I'm like, I was hoping one of you guys knew more about it because now I can't remember the whole quote.
Didn't get back to the greenbacks and everything when I was doing research for the movie. I basically started just before the Federal Reserve started.
But I like Iceland. I think it was 2010, 2012. They had a somewhat of a revolution, and they basically told the the IMF and the World Bank that hey, this national debt number that you have is totally inflated. We actually owe a fraction of that. This is what we're going to pay you. Screw off. And the IMF was like, okay.
I actually do remember that.
Yeah,
I was not paying attention to politics at that time, so
right. I mean, I wasn't really either. I was drawing it in because I knew it was like a world moment, but I didn't know that this was like, it was all going to cogitate 15 years later.
I guess we did have one other thing I had pulled up was a barge carrying 1,400 tons of methanol has sunk in the Ohio River.
Yeah.
I think the name
Another
Ohio is becoming synonymous with disaster.
Yeah, well, this is in Louisville, Kentucky. This is the Ohio River.
But it still has Ohio River in it.
Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky. And so what's worth noting is that this is one barge of 10 that are unaccounted for.
That are filled with methanol?
And they only told us
the one barge is filled with 1,400 tons of methanol. We don't know what's in the other 9. We just know possibly hazardous materials.
If they're naming methanol, the others are probably worse. So
yeah,
because I mean, I'm not saying it's good, and probably a lot of fish are going to die, and it's not great. And but methanol, I'm pretty sure is a water-based solution, and it'll eventually dilute. I think, but
yeah.
But so the other ones, I'm more even worried about.
Great.
The first comment under that tweet, though, did you see it?
Exactly why we need to ban methanol cigarettes.
By Dr. Claire Foster, PhD.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but good eye.
It's one of the that's one of the best troll accounts on Twitter.
Oh, really?
So much so that account was named in some of the Twitter files.
That's hilarious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like the feds like calling that account out for misinformation.
Hilarious.
Wow.
I was going to say enough, but probably I spend a healthy amount of time on Twitter, which is almost none. So
that is a very healthy amount of time.
Yeah.
I used to spend a ton of time on Twitter, and now I pretty much just do it for the 2 hours before this show. just to pregame a little here. Yeah. Yeah. Just to prep. Just to nail down some stuff and figure out what we're going to be chatting about.
So there was something else I noted. There was Black Hawk helicopters that went down today.
We just talked about that before the show, before you got on. But then I was like, is that also in the same area as this? Like, it was just a flag went up in my brain for it. But
wait,
was it in the same area?
I thought so. I thought it was in like Louisville, Kentucky area or something. But
interesting.
Yeah, or maybe I don't know, Kentucky in general.
The time. I mean,
what's that?
To be honest, helicopters are
unreliable.
They're kind of a dangerous machine.
That's fair.
Just ask Ethiopia. Black Hawk helicopter has been unreliable for at least 30 years.
Jeez,
What's
9
that story?
soldiers died.
Yeah, 9 died.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
But not to minimize it, but every couple months.
So was it a training exercise? Because these things do happen.
Yeah.
I know friends personally who have been injured in a training exercise of the guy saying, "Oh, hey, watch this."
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Yeah.
Right.
Hold my beer.
But it's just it's just weird that our attention is on that area right now, and then that story comes up too.
Yeah, it's just the coincidence bell in my brain just went up just because you keep seeing the same area just highlighted a lot, and sometimes that can just be it can be nothing or it can be something. I don't know yet. But.
Yeah. Well,
so the helicopter happened at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is down on the Tennessee border, not anywhere near Louisville.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Relatively.
Good to know.
Good deal.
I mean, it's a big state.
That's closer to where I'll live then.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like pretty west. It's pretty west Kentucky. Like it's
So go ahead and move to Tennessee. Licensing is easier to be a therapist, but it rains Blackhawks from time to time.
Yeah, yeah. And next time we'll talk about Tennessee cryptids.
Speaking of next time,
yeah,
let's go ahead and start wrapping this sucker up.
Sure, man. Yeah, I'm hungry.
First off, let's remind everybody that for our deep dive conspiracy-minded episode that we're going to be doing probably sometime in June or July, we're going to be diving into finance and currency. We might try to be a little more specific, but at some point we're going to go over every single one of these topics in an episode or combined episodes. So I'm going to write all these things down, and a couple weeks out, 3 weeks out, maybe before one of these, I'll send the topic to all y'all, and I'll do our research, and I'll come in super prepared and just go to town on that. But that big one, everybody needs to come in costume. Yes, good job, Stephen.
Oh God, you're asking for. I'm not going to say it.
So, yeah, June, July, whenever that live episode is, everybody's got to come. I mean, if you're not going to come in costume, you better come really well prepared.
I thought you were going to say really drunk.
You also should likely prepare to sleep at my house, because we're gonna be drinking quite a bit that night. Like that'll be one of my 5 drink nights for the year.
Like old times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me and Alden.
Yeah.
Also, reminder to anyone still watching this, The Great Create is happening May 12th through the 14th. Make sure you get your tickets. Tell your friends and family. And Robert said this earlier, and I've been horrible at remembering to do this, but subscribe to our channel, like these videos, comment, subscribe,
share with your friends,
share
post
with
it on your
friends.
social media.
Yes,
piss off your family.
Piss off your family.
We're on Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube. This live stream's on Facebook and Twitter. So basically, anybody who has any online presence whatsoever can watch this in one way or another.
I feel bad that I don't have much to bring here because I'm the black sheep of my family, and so I don't want to tell them I'm here. I don't think that would be helpful for me.
I get that. I really want my brother to come on, but he won't do it because his in-laws would murder him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Great Create. Tell your friends about it. It's going to be a freaking great time. There's going to be a lot of people teaching new skills, teaching you how to be a little more self-sufficient. I'm really excited for some of the folks that are going to be there.
Don't forget, while we're at this talking about convention, join the Libertarian Party of Georgia, lpgeorgia.com.
Join the Libertarian Party of Georgia, lpgeorgia.com.
It's like
35.
It's like 30
I understand
bucks a year.
The whole purpose of being libertarian is thinking you're independent and screw the government. I don't need any of that. But giving money to a central organization, I understand, sounds kind of counter to how you think originally. But just know these are people that think like you.
Yeah.
So the money's not wasted. It's very well accounted for. Everyone's accountable. Everyone's tangible. You know, if you hesitate because you think you're just giving to some nebulous organization that you're never going to see or hear from again, you're wrong.
You can literally reach out to Zach and talk to him.
Absolutely.
Yes,
the chair of LP
Zach
Georgia.
is the chair of the party, and he is in the chats tonight and often hops on.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you are in the state of Georgia, you know, particularly if you want to sign up and become a member, if you want to know who your party leaders are, who your affiliate leaders are, that process will take less than a week. And they can be in front of you. They can meet you at Taco Bell, wherever.
Yeah.
Like if you were to go and send a message in through the LP Georgia website, like chances are you're going to get either Zach or myself responding to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's that small, right?
And it's not just that small. It's also that we're that proactive.
That too.
You know, we are a volunteer army. We mean what we say. We believe in what we talk about. These are our idea. This is what we believe in. So it's we support this stuff, and that's why we volunteered to do this with blood, sweat, and tears, and to the chagrin of our families.
Yeah, don't forget we have affiliates in a whole bunch of different counties. We want to get more started everywhere. We'd like to have some sort of official presence in every county. Some official affiliate. That's hard in Georgia, where there's 150 something counties.
So many. Good God.
So many counties.
A ton. So it's hard.
That's a lot,
Sometimes there are multiple counties, but we'd love to get to the point of every single county affiliated in its own right. That would be.
I'd love to see
amazing.
Like how many counties does Texas have, like compared to Georgia? Because I
like
bet
200 and something.
But like, how many Georgias could fit in Texas? Like, yeah.
The Georgia counties are small, are fairly small, and Georgia's a big state.
Yeah,
that's a lot of counties.
And Robert, we as far as MeWe goes.
What's
we
MeWe?
can only it's a social media platform. We can only stream to five platforms at the moment due to StreamYard's restrictions. So if you want to donate $200 a year to
get us on
this podcast, then I'll upgrade our subscription and maybe we can get on MeWe.
That's fair. I mean,
and then just a quick side note for anybody who wants to do any research this week, who wants maybe to have their voice heard or to actually know about something important that's going on. This Restrict Act that's coming through Congress is a nightmare. You got to go look up the Restrict Act and see
using
what
a
it's all about.
VPN could land you 20 years in prison under this act.
That's insane.
From things I've seen.
The amount of control that this act would give the government over our internet and what they're allowed to do without warrants, without just cause, without anything is a nightmare. Honestly,
did you see?
They're trying to become China to prevent China from infiltrating our social media.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes, to prevent China from stealing your info, we will steal it.
So this is Ender's Game. This is the whole plot of Ender's Game. If you've read that book,
this
or
guy,
even seen the movie, it's in your face right now. This
guy does a great video on it. So if you
I
go
gotta
watch
log
Mark
off,
Moss's, all right,
I gotta get going. But it was great talking to you guys again.
Later, Alden. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Have a good night.
Did you see Jesse Waters on Fox News calling out Lindsey Graham over this?
No, I didn't see that.
Let me find you a link to the video because he went hard on it.
All right, we'll do one more video and then I'm signing off.
Yeah, let me just find it real quick.
But yes, if this guy does a great video on it, TikTok ban is a Trojan horse because what they really want is the Restrict Act to take place. So get out there, talk to your representatives. Try to get them to not pass this stinking thing because it's going to be terrible for everybody. For using a freaking VPN, which I use daily, you get prison time.
All right. Yeah, I just dropped the link.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Open link and share. There we go. We got to talk over it a little bit so that we don't get this stream.
Oh yeah.
So comment a few times, please.
IP stuff.
We don't want TikTok because the Chinese use it to spy on us. And
Yeah, see right there. Shall upon conviction be
We only
fined not
want
more than
U.S.
1 million years.
spyware.
Did the United
Right.
States Senate just say we're going to
So-
protect you from China by spying on you?
Seems like
Let's try to
it.
get some answers out of the Senator.
No, the
Lindsey
G7
Graham,
said that, not
who
U.S.
supports this and is here now. You got to be
Patriot
kidding me,
Act on
Senator. Did you read
steroids.
this?
Yeah, I don't think I support the Restrict Act.
I don't know that crop.
You don't support
What is that
this 'cause
crop?
you
Look
are
at the
one of
jawline
those
crop on this
supporters,
guy.
'cause
What is
this
that?
garbage.
Well, is this the one with John? There's
I
two
think it's
bills
hilarious.
after.
I don't
One
think I support that.
allows
Oh,
a
your name's
review
on it.
of
Is he the Murdoch family
businesses
attorney?
that are connected to China, give the secretary the ability
He's
to
not,
protect
but
their
he could be.
data. Is that the Restrict Act?
We got S686 right here,
Yeah.
March 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a bunch of Republicans supporting it because this thing is crazy town. You don't want
Yeah.
the government looking into your private phone.
No,
Why not make it
If
the
they have a
69420
hunch you're
bill?
colluding with the Russians, we remember how that turned
That's
out.
all of them.
Yeah, no. Well, the Constitution trumps a statute. So let me come back and give you a better explanation. Here's the problem as I see it. China
Well, if
is
we
the
pass
parent
something
company of TikTok.
unconstitutional,
And my
it's
nieces
fine.
like TikTok. I don't mind them using TikTok. I just don't want the Chinese government to seize all their data and manipulate the information America sees for political purposes. China is helping drug cartels in Mexico. China is not a friend. Chinese espionage is an all-time high against American business interests. I
So
wanna
7
push
years
back
later, the
against
Republicans
China,
are supporting
but within a
Obama's kill switch on the
constitutional
internet.
framework. You're right about
Right?
that. So
Yeah.
you made these allegations, and I'll come answer better next time.
All right, well, I mean, because on Congress.gov, you're listed as one of the co-sponsors of this thing. Maybe it's like Fetterman when your chief of staff
Could
does
be.
all your work for
Could
you.
be.
But, Senator, you got to go back and talk to these other senators about this. This thing is nuts, and it's going to get abused like it always does.
What was
we
that
gotta clean
face?
this up. Can we clean
What was
this
that
up?
face? This thing is nuts. He didn't like
Number
that.
one, yeah, I owe you a better explanation I'm giving you. John Thune's got a bill to make sure the Secretary of Commerce can deal with this, not just
I owe
TikTok,
you a
but the
better
general idea that China, we're under attack.
So, shocker, Lindsey Graham definitely didn't read that bill.
He's on it as a sponsor, and he's getting called out on Fox News and can't answer any questions about
No.
what's in it.
It's because he didn't read a daggum word of it.
Well, I would dare say, because he's also compromised by China. And he doesn't want his communications surveilled to that level of what's going to be required to police this stuff. Because it's not, the way it's written is it's not just for TikTok or ByteDance or wherever the heck other app you got going on here. It's how do you monitor communications between the U.S. and China? But also exclude the elite class because it's all through the same cable.
Right.
Yeah, Elizabeth's right on that. That's exactly how they do it. They'll
They'll
try to backdoor it. They'll change a couple things, put a different name on it, and try to push it through.
Well, yeah, and they'll attach it to another bill that is wildly popular on the back.
Well, there's going to have to be some manufactured crisis to blame China for.
Oh yeah.
Some
They don't
kind of
manufacture
isolated
crises.
incident that's not going to be.
Dude. They don't manufacture crises. They don't take advantage when things go to shit. Like, come on. They're here to protect us. Come on.
The Hegelian dialectic does not exist. You're right.
They're here to help.
I am the psyop. Consume and obey.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank y'all so much for tuning in to tonight's Liberty Libations. We'll be back next week with Cynthia McKinney. Free Georgia podcast comes out this Tuesday. I'll be interviewing King Randall. He'll be at the Great Create. So if you want an interview of somebody who's going to come speak to everybody down at the Great Create, tune in to the Free Georgia podcast on Tuesday. It'll come out on video on Monday night and audio all platforms on Tuesday morning.
He's doing some interesting stuff. So
yes, he is. Yes,
Hey, April 15th. If you want to see Jake, the master himself, down in Fayetteville at Town Square Playhouse, we will be screening his documentary, Divide and Dominate.
Heck yeah.
I believe there's going to be a meetup previous to that as well.
Yeah, which we'll advertise for that next time. When it gets a little closer.
There's going to be a meetup previous to that as well. So yeah, get out there, Town Square Playhouse, go see Jake's awesome documentary. I say that not just because I'm an associate producer on it, but because it's actually great.
Yeah, that's fair. You're definitely not biased at all.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
So-
Well, Steve, Nick, thank y'all so much for joining us. And for all you viewers, thank y'all for tuning in. We will see you next time. Peace.
Cheers.